of Tomo, but he's going to be able to use the Gale Force to be able to get some distance between him and Haunter to be able to survive. And with no triple, the Dragon will be secured by TSM Academy.
What a nice Wukong banana split coming out of Haunter, able to get on the backside, saving that teleport. You can see, although they sacrificed many towers magical, TSM Academy had that play prepared. They had the advanced warding, they had the positioning, and they split the fight in the same way FlyQuest was able to in Game 1. TSM Academy looking very strong this game, and they take down the Dragon, making it their third of the game's sole point as they continue to push forward.
Gotta be careful. They used a lot in the last fight to try to see if they can take control of the Dragon now, but they've been able to force off TSM Academy. FlyQuest, they have the TP in from triple topside. They have Kumo's TP up as well. They can easily try to see if they can force an issue around this Baron, force a fight immediately before that Cyclone comes back off the cooldown.
They're going to have to wait, but it's not a whole lot of time because even though the Cyclone is a powerful tool, they still have a lot of damage that they have to worry about. FlyQuest Academy as well are still waiting on their own cooldowns. You can see the Shockwave just coming out of cooldown. The quickness still on cooldown. You can see Dreams being level 9 is really going to start to hurt at this phase in the game without that level 2 quickness.
Especially since Yursan is going to be level 11 soon, and being able to have that level 2 Magnet Storm on constant rotation every single fight to be able to back up that Cyclone. I like this coming in from Tomo. No, they need this. They have to do this, because if they don't take that tier 1, you've already seen how much control was gained by TSM Academy by just having that one structure stand.
It looked like he was taking a bit too much damage, but at the same time, a good back timing for FlyQuest Academy to capitalize on. TSM, no real answer to that. They're just going to lose another turret, but at the same time, they're not too worried about turrets anymore, Magical. They're winning team fights. They're getting positionings that they need, and they have, even though it's not a gold lead, an objective lead that's really starting to add up at this point.
Look, Sam, I'm not as upset about that one. That one actually made sense. It's when Kumo keeps getting turrets with nothing really gained on the other side that was upsetting me. 4 turrets. Okay, 1, understandable. 2, maybe. 4, I don't know.
So what you're saying, it's somewhere between 2 and 4 where you start to question
There's
exactly
some sort of number
happening.
between there, but I don't know what it is.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we do not know how to count in NA. I've been playing Half-Life my whole life. And Portal.
Yeah, same. I played Half-Life. I played Portal, Left 4 Dead. Great games.
Great games.
Taught me how to count. But right now, Goomba was able to push up towards another inhibitor, but had Dreams backing up just in case this time around. Neither team trying to see if they can posture around this Baron. This game already going longer than the last one, and it's a lot closer. Even despite the fact that some of these fights have been going so well for TSM Academy, they're still in a deficit. The turret difference than making this gold lead for FlyQuest Academy a reality.
So far, it's looking pretty good. FlyQuest Academy, though, I like that Kumo can push by himself, and that there's no real retaliation. Even though 5 members are present, they have to actually kill Kumo in order to make it work. Otherwise, FlyQuest Academy are getting free pressure and free time more than anything else to fight against TSM later on.
Well, and you can already see that they're trying to see if they can posture to maybe punish Kumo, but if you're expending so much to try to be able to kill this Nara, especially now that he's mini trying to hop away and bounce away, devastating charge going to be used to be able to bounce him around with the fear, and the Cyclone used too. It is going to be Kumo dying, but look at the Baron immediately. They started up by FlyQuest because they saw the VIP was in the bot side.
And now they have to back off, so great timing coming out of TSM, getting the pick, getting the pressure down immediately afterwards. FlyQuest, no answers.
I think you commit if you're FlyQuest there. You got the TP burned, sure. You have Sword that might be able to back up, but you had it down to 50%. I think they could have taken it. Now that they backed out of that one completely, they lose the tier 2 in the mid lane. They've lost Kumo, and now they are the ones that have to worry about losing control around the Baron pit.
They have to worry about that, but I don't disagree with the pull-off, if only because Kumo was not there. Kumo is a main source of teamfight damage in CC, and without that, the teamfight feels
you're just telling me
very
you're
weak.
A coward.
I guess so.
You gotta fight, man. Come on.
I wish I could, but sometimes you just recognize your top laner is down, and you decide,
you just think
I don't want it.
Logically or something like that, you know. Wait, are they going back to it?
Yeah, why not?
They're trying to see if they can force the TP out of Haunter. That's really what they're trying to do. But Viv is here. If they can get that TP forced out, it's going to be nice if they can make the play. But look how deep that is. It's going to be a beautiful flank. And so much damage on top of Dream trying to be able to get away. But you know Haunter's nearby.
Oh, Tomo.
Take him down, and they got the rocket on top of him as well with the shockwave onto 2 members. They've got excited. Cody's son trying to chase down Triple for his own triple. But it's going to be Bobek who takes him down instead. Kumo forced away, and they got a nice leash on top of this Baron.
Well, Kumo was there. They took the fight, and it did not go well, Magical. You saw how much damage Dreams took in the very start of that fight. The positioning by Tomo left a little to be desired, and TSM Academy capitalized beautifully on this Baron that got started. Very good play and very nice timing coming out of this blue squad.
So that's going to be the Baron picked up on the side of TSM Academy. They've got their first gold lead of Game 2. While it has seemed like every fight they've been the ones in the lead, they've only now been able to make that gold also their lead. As we get to take a look at this replay, it starts off with just too much damage on top of Dreams.
I think this is why Rakan has been such a unprioritized pick in the current meta, just because he's not tanky. He doesn't have the ability to survive after an engage, much like Rel does, and the poke potential coming out of TSM Academy. Too much to deal with. From there, split the fight. Not a whole lot you can do if you're FlyQuest Academy. Yes, the team fight is great on paper, but if you can't actually keep your members alive, and once you have a deficit at this point, it's not going to work. And I don't see how TSM Academy lose this game unless they botch and engage.
And there is always the potential. You never know. But I'm going to say this. I do like this composition far more than in Game 1 for TSM Academy. Sword on something that can carry, something that can do so much more damage. It's so much more fulfilling to witness from TSM Academy. You can see, even if he's only 1-0-5, how much he's been able to do with these Sleepy Trouble Bubbles. His poke from the Paddle Stars has been enough to force back FlyQuest and allow Haunter to be able to pop off in these fights.
And this is why Sword should always be on something that can at least carry. Like maybe the Karma as an offshoot, but usually you want him on these mages, on the Lucian perhaps. And once he has the ability to carry, he's shown that he can really make a difference. And in this game, it's no exception. He's just going through these matches, going through these fights like it's nothing. He's got kills, he's got assists, and quite honestly, the entire team of TSM is looking really unlocked this game.
All right, Kumo, I get that it worked twice. You died the third time. But this time they got Baron. They can recall a lot faster. They can keep up with you this time. So I appreciate you trying, but no need to try this time. You got to wait out the Baron at least.
I think I know what happened. He mind melded with Darshan, as he himself is a former Cloud9 Academy top laner,
True.
and he tried the same play that Darshan would try in that instance, which is split push until death. Unfortunately, he's Gnar and doesn't quite have the same oomph that Darshan usually has on the likes of Nasus or Gangplank. The sorts of characters that can
I'm waiting
really
for the
push turrets
Yorks
quick.
to be picked, man. He got buffed? Or is that on 11-7?
I think that's 11-7.
Oh, man, I want to see the York. That's what I'm waiting for. Split push to death, baby. But right now,
It could happen.
not going to be split pushing. It's going to be TSM Academy taking down this tier 2 pretty easily. Secondary turret. You don't really want to defend that. Good call coming in from FlyQuest. Let them have the gold. Try to wait out the Baron the best you can, because it's only going to be so much longer. It's about time out. And all you have to do is be patient before you have to at least mount some sort of defense, especially since they have an Infernal Soul on top of them.
I feel like it's only a matter of time, and FlyQuest Academy don't have options. TSM, they need to find the fight.
The flank coming in, but the Magnus Storm, look at Haunter's flank. One's better than the other
Kumo!
with a huge rocket to be able to help them out. Kumo dies to the double kill coming in from Cody-san. They want to be able to chase this. They have so much damage. It's taking down Tomo. Triple as well, going to be tagged by the Drowsy underneath at his entire fountain too. He dies, same with NXI, getting an unofficial quadra kill. TSM Academy, they have made this a series. We're going to be tied up one apiece going into Game 3. Winner takes all.
TSM Academy, they drafted for the Wombo combo. They executed the Wombo combo, and from the mid game on, Magical, it looked like they had all the emphasis on attack, attack, attack.
A much better draft from them as well. I really do like this one. It allowed them to be able to play that Siege comp with Zoe and Jinx really well. Sword looked far better on the Zoe than he did Seraphine. And Haunter's Wukong, sure, died to an early gank again from NXI, but after that first fight where it was that skirmish that got him 2 kills, he was on fire from that moment onward.
It was the fact that they always set up these deep vision wards to allow Haunter to get the teleport and then save the teleport, sacrifice your, in some cases, inhibitor turrets in order to get those teleports and then make the big play. Very strange, but you know what? It worked out. TSM Academy, they put the proactive plays on hold. They said, we are going to do it, and they did it. I think that was a great game, and I look forward to Game 3 out of them because, honestly, this is the team I expected in Game 1.
As am I. I'm excited to see this, but it does mean that Cubby is wrong in his prediction of the 2-0 for FlyQuest. We're going to Game 3, so stick around. We're going to toss to a break. We'll be right back to find out who's going to move forward in the losers bracket. Welcome back into the Proving Grounds. We're getting ready for our third game in this best of three between FlyQuest Academy and TSM Academy. TSM, they fired back well in game two. That was the composition that we wanted to see out of them. It looked great in their hands.
It was really a completely different TSM Academy that we saw in Game 2 as opposed to Game 1. And because of that, Magical, I think this is our first time in over a year not casting a 2-0, if memory serves.
I think so. I think every time you and I have ever casted, well, at least since, the golden days of being in the garage, where we've actually always had 2-0s whenever we do best of threes. So,
Oopsie, it's true.
I knocked over a bunch of stuff.
Oh my. Okay, well, that Red Bull really getting to you. I get it. Sometimes it happens. But you know what? That's because you're excited, and it's because I'm excited, Magical. A Game 3 between FlyQuest, who also, in this entire Proving Grounds, has not had a 2-1 victory. They have not even played in a game that went to 3 series.
Exactly.
Or 3 games.
They had their first loss against Evil Geniuses Academy in round 1, 0-2, and ever since then has been 2-0s. And looking at this now, they've got a series on their hand going up against CSM Academy, who looked amazing in that second game. When you look at these plays, honestly, I gotta applaud Haunter's flanks, and this is what you expect from such a veteran like Haunter, where he knows when he can push himself to the limit or find these beautiful positions to be able to punish FlyQuest.
It's the fact that TSM Academy focused on their warding so early on. They were able to get into the enemy jungle, able to put down those deep wards. Another deep ward play coming in from Haunter, just back to back, coming out of the top laner of TSM Academy. And I think that is what made the difference between Game 1 and Game 2. And if they continue this in Game 3, I see them winning this series, Magical.
Honestly, I do as well. That's what can be expected, but we also want to see FlyQuest Academy themselves be able to turn things around, because in this composition where there was very little that was really different, switch out the Rakan for Gragas from Game 1, they had Nara as opposed to what they had in Game 1 themselves, where they were trying to see if they can have that Ornn to be able to back up the tank, but I want to see a little bit more from them, right? I want to see them maybe go back to that Ornn. It looked really good in Kumo's hands. Maybe even get Dreams back onto that Gragas to be something that can disrupt the fights a bit more and not really have to worry about everyone getting corralled.
I do agree. I think the main point is the Dreams pick. I feel the Rakan just didn't do exactly what he needed to do. You saw him behind. Too squishy. Definitely. Not able to get into fights. Not able to stay alive in fights. And the disengage just wasn't there in the same way that his Gragas was in Game 1. So stick to the Alistar Rel Gragas. Sort of holy trinity. Maybe stay away from the Rakan going forward, even if it means the risk is there that you send the entire zoo at your AD.
So I'm even wondering if maybe the Galio, and we've seen Galio support occasionally, it's something that was far more popular at the beginning of Season 11, but we still see it once in a while be able to pop back up in the bot lane. I feel like Dreams is someone who can easily pilot this champion, and with the composition that they tend to like to go for, which is more of the AoE team fights, things that work well with one another. I feel like that's another one of those things they can easily slot in that works very similarly to that Gragas.
It doesn't quite have the same disengage potential, but it does have global pressure in a way that Gragas doesn't, and also has the ability to tank, which Rakan absolutely was lacking in that last game. But we have seen it played even yesterday, Magical. I believe it was NoOrg that pulled out the Galio support in Game 1, I believe. And we're able to really make it work. Maybe that was just because of the differential between Evil Genius's Prodigies and NoOrg, but regardless, it's a good pick, and I think that it is something that really works out for the side of FlyQuest Academy should Dreams choose to pick it. Again, I do see him more as the going off the book a little bit. We saw that last game, and I feel like his picks could be the decider in this next game, just maybe not going, too much against the grain.
And you're right. It was Game 1 that they played it. I couldn't remember if it was Game 1 or Game 2 as well that Big was playing that one, but it was Game 1 that they played that, and so it's still an option. It's still something that they can go back to if they want to, and I want to see, with FlyQuest going back on blue side, what they decide to draft for themselves, if they're going to still try to maybe go for the same bans they did in the first game. Go double up on top lane with that Renekton Gnar and feel more confident grabbing some stuff blind earlier on, especially trying to draft jungle bot side of the map, things that you're not as worried about getting countered.
It definitely seems to come down to who has the Hecarim or whoever's on blue side, because I have noticed this coincidence, Magical, and it has been that blue side with Hecarim has won every game this series, if you look at it.
We've had 2 games. That's a very small
And every single one of those games.
I mean, you're right. I'm not going to say you're wrong, but it's a small sample size, man.
Small sample size or entirely accurate, Magical?
I don't know about that. I'd have to dive. You know what would be funny is if you dive into the stats and it actually ends up being like throughout all
sure
Proving Grounds.
It's not anywhere near what I'm saying.
It could be. I've seen some weird stats, man, where it's like you get stuff that's blue side, like a blue side Hecarim has like a 80% win rate or something like that. It's something ridiculous. And you're like, oh, okay. I don't know that off the top of my head, but I'm just ballparking it here. We're going into this game. I kind of am trying to think what we can maybe see out of TSM to be able to counter, because I'm expecting FlyQuest to fall back to how they drafted in game 1. Like you said, if the Hecarim's left open, probably going to grab that for themselves immediately. Maybe even Lilia, if TSM Academy themselves decide to not ban that away, instead ban Hecarim to try to change things up. But I feel like Lilia is even better. It's something that can really set up the teams even more, especially from range with the bowling ball Dream combination.
There's a lot of options available with the Lilia. Also the Nidalee as sort of that 4th pick in the meta. It's, the awkward stepchild of the family of the current junglers.
I think that's always like drafted into Lilias, yeah.
Yeah, usually it's the answer to Lilia. Sometimes it can be picked into Hecarim Mudir. It's not very successful, but it is an option available if the Lilia is banned, which it has been both games, and I feel like that's a trend that's going to continue, if only because it's such a good answer. It's a way to get AP into your comp without forcing the mid lane pick.
Exactly, and I think that depending on how this draft goes, that actually could work out. If Sword maybe wants to go back to that Seraphine, you get something like an AP damage source in from jungle and Bobbip's hands, well, there you go. The Seraphine makes a little bit more sense that Sword's now playing. Though I will say, I loved the Zoe far more. I would like to see that be what they go for, even if they have that opportunity to maybe grab Seraphine. I think that Zoe, Orianna, those are probably the picks I want to see when we jump into draft.
If TSM avoids Seraphine, I feel like that's going to be more to their advantage. We saw what happened in game 1. The draft was all over the place because of it, and it feels like they weren't able to fully balance out the picks. So if they change it up in this draft phase that we're in for game 3, I feel like TSM Academy could have a repeat of last game.
Yeah, but as we jump in, it's going to be the Kaisa banned away by FlyQuest Academy once more, going for that first ban. I'm a bit surprised because Tomo loves to play that champion, and sure, picking up first pick means that you give over something like that Hecarim if it's left open. But I feel like that's something that Tomo really does have far more practice than with this Tristana, where we've been seeing the laning phase especially being a bit of a struggle for FlyQuest in general.
Yeah, I haven't been really convinced by Tomo's Tristana in the last couple games, just because it seems to be, even in team fights, he's playing it too risky. There's a lot of room for error in the way that he's been playing it. And if they take that away, which, speaking of takeaways, TSM actually take away the Hecarim.
Though, we were just talking about this. And so I expect it to be Lilia locked in here. Oh, but XI, even with the opportunity, goes to what you said. Goes for Udyr and Bobbip. If you're not grabbing Lilia right now, actually, you don't even have to. You know that Udyr's there. You could wait for that as your second pick in the second part to grab that and try to see if you can get a really strong bot lane. Grab Tristana, maybe. Tristana Rel.
Tristana Rel would actually be a really spicy pick coming in from TSM. I feel like that's their strongest lane that they can make out of the available picks. And instead, we're going to go for the Olaf lock-in. So one of those soft counters to Udyr, definitely been picked up a lot when Hecarim is not available. It's certainly not the S+ tier of junglers, but still stays relatively high in the A tier and can do a lot of work when put against this matchup.
But now that we have to see what can change. Oh, look at that. We are getting a big change in from Tomo. Not getting Tristana, but they're going for Jinx Gragas. This is a composition they've actually run before. I recall in my notes. Let me go back in time and see. It was against CLG Academy when they were in the losers bracket. They played in game 1 against them, and it did really well, especially into the Rel, to be able to deny Rel any sort of early game priority that they would want to be able to normally have over a Jinx.
Now, the one thing they have to worry about is they drafted Jinx into an Olaf, and if Olaf decides to build damage, it's going to be a really tough time to peel away for the AD, especially with Dreams on Gragas. There's just not a lot you can do into this pick, and if he has a dive buddy of any variety, which Zoe I would almost say counts, it's going to be very, very tough for FlyQuest Academy to keep their teamfight damage alive.
As now we get into the second part of the bans. Azir taken away. Same with that Victor that we've been seeing constantly banned away from triple. But Orianna is also going to join the bench, which means Twisted Fate is left open. But that's not necessarily a solid pick going up against a Zoe. Something that you have to be fearful that can annihilate you before you're even able to get in range for a gold card.
Well, you know what else is up, Magical, and this has been avoided in this entire series, is Syndra. Now, I know that triple isn't necessarily the best Syndra, it's not as most practiced, but it's still a really good matchup into Zoe, and I feel like they'd be at fault for not taking away that pick or not at least considering it among their champ pool.
They definitely can consider that, and I feel like that's probably something that they'll have to ask themselves. I know there's a lot of analysts and colorcasters who aren't very sold on Syndra right now. I'm amongst them, but Cody-san, instead of going for Xayah, I thought Xayah was going to be the answer here. They lock in this Varus, and they are fully committing to a siege composition to try to see if they can replicate what they did in Game 2.
I feel like it's possible with this Varus. I like the team fight ability that comes in, and Akali gets locked in. Very interesting coming out of Triple, trying to really go in for the all-in damage. Not a lot of team fighting. This is going to be more of a skirmish comp from FlyQuest Academy.
A bit of a different answer coming in from them. They sure do have some late game scaling options in that Jinx, even Akali can be a good opportunity to use in later game team fights, but it is much more skirmish heavy. It is far more about splitting apart these fights like TSM Academy were able to do in that second game. But TSM themselves, I'd love to see going back onto that Wukong. Hanser had such a great performance in Game 2 on that, and this is pretty much going to be a slugfest. Both teams want to be able to skirmish, even though TSM Academy have siege options. They have so much skirmishing in that Wukong, in Olaf, Rel to back them up as well.
I do like that on the side of TSM Academy, they have the ability to stop any team fight via the Varus Corrupting Chains or even via the Cyclone if they really want to commit against the fight. But on the side of FlyQuest, they also have a reasonable amount of disengage, especially in the Gragas, and even Kuma with just a little bit of that disengage might be able to make the fight. It's going to be very split up. I think this is going to be much more chaotic than we saw in Game 1 or Game 2.
Oh, for sure. I'm expecting, we've seen both games 1 and 2 have that 18-minute, 20-minute fight right around that time zone where it's been pretty much the deciding factor. This game, we're probably going to see that, but maybe even earlier. We could see a fight around that 15-minute mark where it's the split-up skirmish that is trying to see who's going to be able to get the upper hand, and whoever comes out victorious in that fight might be enough to be able to snowball from there.
Now, what I want to see from this FlyQuest Academy side is, with Triple on this Akali, can he get the roams down? Because that, more than anything, is going to decide how well the blue side does. If Akali stays in lane and just continues to go against Sword over and over, you're not going to get the full experience of the Akali. You need to be able to go in the bot lane, into the top lane, I think is going to be super important early on, and make the difference. Otherwise, I feel like this could fall flat.
But remember one thing. This is the semi-reworked Akali that we're seeing on 11.6. So it's a little bit stronger here in Season 11 that Triple is now piloting the deciding match, trying to see who is going to be able to claim themselves victorious, move on. FlyQuest would love to be able to have a second chance, a rematch against Evil Geniuses Academy, while TSM Academy, they've been battling through all of these tier 1s. They have been proving so many people wrong that they started off weak. They weren't going to be a team that you had to worry about, and here they are, still surviving in the lower bracket.
This is the lower bracket quarterfinals match goal, and this is the final game of this series. It's winner take all. Whoever loses is completely out of the tournament, and whoever wins going on to fight Evil Geniuses Academy tomorrow, or not tomorrow, in a couple days. Yes. And it's going to be quite a match.
That it is, and I'm excited to see how this is going to boil down, since both teams have committed to a lot of skirmishing potential. Even though TSM Academy, mentioned it before, they do have that siege option if they want to use Varus and Zoe for that. But they have to be able to get there, and that's always the problem when you have a siege comp. You have to be able to get a lead, because when you're playing a siege comp from behind, there's very little you can actually do.
You really do need to get those early advantages, and I feel like with Babip on Olaf might be able to facilitate that. But what I really want to see more than anything is our featured matchup, Dreams versus Yerson, in the same back-to-back of supports that we saw in Game 1.
And if we recall last time, it was still first blood picked up by TSM Academy in the bot lane onto Tomo. Dreams, even if his KDA didn't really scream that he was the deciding factor in team fights, he was the deciding factor on that Gragas in the team fights in Game 1. So I want to see how he's going to be able to perform. Because your son, you better bet he is going to look to see if he can play aggressively, be the one to set up these fights perfectly for TSM Academy.
And for the moment, it looks like we're focused on the mid lane, Sword and Triple. Initially, Akali He does have a bad matchup just because the lack of healing on the 5-point strikes. Otherwise, it's going to eventually come down to who can get the engage first and dodge the bubble, because if Sword lands the bubble, pretty lost fight for Triple, regardless of if he's cloaked or not. But if Triple can dodge the bubble, then he can just all-in damage on Sword, and Zoe has no recourse, because as you said in game 1, I believe it was, Zoe is relatively immobile.
Exactly. She's deceptively immobile, right? Because you think that she's going to be able to move around so much. She gets some movement speed when she has her sparkles. You get the jump around with the portal jump, but really you're kind of stationary. And that's why Syndra is one of the champions that does well into her, because even if Zoe wants to push out and leave the lane, if you're not able to do that, well, Syndra, since you're not really moving around too much, can easily hit you with that Scatter of the Weak. But here, to this Akali, I like that you mentioned the Sleepy Trouble bubble, because Sword's probably going to try to hold on to that each time to wait for Triple, because if you use it too soon, Triple's immediately going to pull that trigger and try to kill you.
Yep. But as it stands, going to be a rotation actually coming out of Sword. So the first rotation not going to Akali, but instead to Zoe.
Ooh,
and this might work out because the exhaust is down.
This ain't looking so good for Kumo. Trying to be able to get the knockup with the Darkened Blade. Going to be able to hit 2. Gets the flash away, but Sleepy Trouble bubble dodged too. So they have to bail. TSM Academy, they keep trying to get this dive onto Kumo, and it keeps not going out so well.
The difference, though, is that the 1-for-1 did not happen. Kumo instead just loses a summoner spell. But Bip also, though, flashed in the middle of that. So not the best trade coming in for TSM Academy. Too hard of a force, and for it, they get punished with a summoner spell trade.
And I think you'll take that if you're Kumo. You know, you lose your flash, sure, but you survived the dive, but Bip no longer having the flash. And it's 2 teleports used to try to see if they can answer mid lane, which means that even with the fact that this lane has been pushed up by Sword, it's also in a pretty precarious spot. It's frozen a little bit, so as Triple pushes this out and tries to see if he can get himself a little bit of a lead, there was that potential that maybe Dreams could have found something, but they'd back out. They play this passively, not really wanting to hard commit. Oh, it's just going to be a bit of damage.
No, we're not at lethal Zoe quite yet. We have to wait past the 5-minute mark, Magical, and then that's when she starts one-shotting people. I'm pretty sure that's how the math works out. Otherwise, it's going to be, once the full item is completed, usually a Ludens or even a Hex belt might make the difference. For now, just going to be a little bit of friendly poke more than anything else.
You know, I don't really see many people going that rocket belt anymore. It was all the craze for a while, but now it's Everfrost, you know? That's Everfrost, really what everyone likes to go. That's lock people down forever, and it's an option. It is an option that Sword could go for if you really want to be able to make sure that Triple's not doing anything, but you lose that full burst that you were talking about, right? The magic pen that you want to be able to get as you get your Ludens. So instead of just going to wait it out, try to see what they can really grab for themselves, I'm really still keeping my eyes on Dreams and Yurson. I want to see, especially Yurson. We have not seen him really be able to have those roams that we've seen in the past, in the previous games, where he's been able to impact the side lane so efficiently. Here, he's tried a couple times, so they just haven't really worked out so well.
What I like is NXI is once again staying towards the bot side. This is something that worked out really well in game 1. Even if there's no kill to get, even if the vision is completely in favor of TSM Academy, there's still something that you can get on the bot side, and that's the dragon. The pressure that comes down from Tomo and Dreams allows it, and really, if you can get a free dragon early on, you take a free dragon early on, Magical.
And that's what they're going to do. They're going to be able to get themselves that pretty easily, as Kumo was attempted again. They were trying to see if they can get Kumo once more, especially since Hansar is level 6. It would have been pretty easy, but Kumo read that one well. Backed off of it immediately, knowing that his jungler is spot side, not really wanting to play up. Now that they know that, hey, I got a big wave that's crashing here, I need to be able to get myself some gold so I can stay even. And there's not really that easy dive that Pavip can commit to since he's only level 5.
And it's really hard to dive in Aatrox generally. Even with the Ragnarok, it doesn't necessarily guarantee you're going to live. You do become a lot squishier, and Kumo, once he picks up a little bit more damage, he's going to be very, very difficult to both kill and get away from. Especially because Kumo decided to go for that Bramble Vest instead of going for the normal Executioner's Culling, like we see that Haunter's grabbed for himself. So if they're attacking him, they're not going to be able to heal up underneath that dirt like they'd want to. It's, now that we look back mid lane, more poke, traded back and forth. Still not seeing the most action from the mid lane just yet. We want to see Sword be able to push in that wave once more and then rotate around the map, because that's really what the Zoe is going to be able to do into Akali. Akali does struggle in the early stages of the game to be able to keep up with the Zoe's clear speed. It really does make a difference when Sword is able to play that well. You saw even in that exchange, Sword was able to stay out of range of the 5-point strike and was able to actually land free poke onto Triple. If he continues that, then Triple's not going to have a great time, but he has the option of roaming. And as you said, Magical, it hasn't happened yet. It needs to happen at some point in the next 5 minutes. Otherwise, I feel like FlyQuest are just completely misusing this pick.
So I know this is a typical thing, seeing the lethality Varus with a Hail of Blades, but I'm not the biggest fan of it personally. I feel like if you're going to go Hail of Blades, Comet is the one I would personally choose. I know if you're going to go Hail of Blades. If you're going to go lethality, you go for the Arcane Comet to be able to back up that poke a little bit more, or even go for Phase Rush to be able to get a little bit extra movement speed, even if you're not going to be able to proc it as easily. But going for the Hail of Blades is really for when people are on top of you, trying to be able to deal with them, especially in the laning phase. And eventually, you're not really about that. You're about being able to snipe someone with a lot of damage, and as you mentioned, throw out the Chain of Corruptions, and job done.
It'll help, but I feel like the Hail of Blades does give Varus something in that the passive gets stacked just a little bit faster. It doesn't do as much damage on the lethality, sure, but it does make a difference towards the later stages of the game when you can just burst someone down in 3 hits and get the easy execution queue onto Tomo, who so far has been playing this pretty well. I feel like it has been passive from both sides. You haven't seen the first blood yet at 8 minutes and 41 seconds into the game, and the chaos that we predicted, Magical. I think we're going to have to hold on for a little bit, but rest assured, folks at home, it's coming.
Oh, it's coming. That's like, I didn't think it would really happen until about that 15-minute mark. That's really what I expected to be the nature of the beast for this game, is when they want to fight. Though Haunter is in a bad spot. He has Flash available to be able to get away from that one, so they're going to just let him go, since Tomo showing up into the top lane. Unfortunately, not going to be able to follow that up. Keep in mind, your son, Babip, Sword, all of them, they're in tow, ready to see if they can back up Haunter. While NXI, Kumo, Tomo, though, Tomo a little bit far out there.
Ooh.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble, barely not connecting, but it's giving him a bit good zone control with the Magnet Storm as well. The follow-up Cyclone, double kill comes in, making an early triple out of Haunter. And maybe I was wrong. It wasn't 15 minutes, it was 10 minutes.
And First Blood turns into a triple kill for Haunter, a really nicely executed team fight coming in from TSM Academy. They were able to send Yurson in, get a 4-man Magnet Storm into the 3-man Cyclone. Just beautifully played and very well timed out of the red side.
Oh, barely. Tomo was trying to see if he can get the steal, but look at this play. That bubble actually does a lot more than you think. The zone control it provides with a follow-up Cyclone from Haunter, mwah.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. The one thing I was surprised is the explosive cast never actually came out. I feel like zoning away Haunter might have made the difference in that fight, but it didn't hit where it needed to. And quite honestly, TSM Academy just were fully prepared for it. And this Gragas pick not doing what it's supposed to do.
Unfortunately, not being able to have that same impact that we saw previously, where it was able to split apart the fight. Here, we're seeing that TSM Academy with an early, massive lead, especially since all that gold has been pumped in to this monkey. They really are living by the code of 8 strong together.
They certainly are, and the Divine Sunderer has been completed, so that in conjunction with the Executioner's Calling, gonna be a very lethal combination against Kumo, who I don't think can lane against him anymore, Magical. He just has to stand up to setting up the split push more than anything, and if he sees a monkey, he runs.
I'd love to see the gold difference just between those two, because that all the gold is in to Wukong. It is all on to Haunter, getting the triple kill, getting the first turret as well. They have made sure that he is going to be the one. There we go. We have a 2,500. That's the entire gold lead, essentially, for TSM Academy. Pretty much 500 gold is the only difference making between everyone else. It's all spread out between the rest of the team.
And that's just what happens when you have a great team fight. You funnel your gold into one source, but FlyQuest Academy, they're going to have to give up Dragon as well. And quite honestly, they have not been able to find any response on the map. They just lose objective after objective right now, and it's looking like TSM Academy are feeling dominant in this early game. A huge surprise considering Game 1.
But this is how TSM Academy tend to play. They are more about fighting around this 15 to 20 minute game. And that is what we were expecting going into it. We were expecting them to be this far faster team trying to win out early over FlyQuest Academy, who wanted to be able to scale up. And still, FlyQuest can, if they want to be able to hold out and try to see if they can get some more gold, especially onto Nikali, especially onto Tomo on this Jinx, that can help them. They have to find a way to be able to stop Haunter from being able to rip apart the backline, especially now. Oh, Tomo having to flash away.
It's not looking good.
Body block coming in. They had a lot of damage. No. Not going to be able to pick up the kill just yet. Barely he survives.
That was the smallest sliver of health I've seen in a long time, Magical. That went down to double digits. That might have even gotten close to single digits, but TSM Academy just barely didn't have it in the tank to get the kill. And FlyQuest Academy, they defend well. They're able to keep Tomo alive, and nothing was really burned for that except for his flash.
Yeah, but the thing is, that's still a flash on Jinx that you've burned. Well,
true.
You can say it's not necessarily the worst thing in the world. He's still alive. But now you're a target. You have this big old bullseye put on the back of your head, and they're going to be gunning for Tomo. Try to make sure this Jinx can't get excited, because that is still a big win condition that FlyQuest Academy could always fall back to.
It is going to be easy to get the Jinx as it goes along, especially with Babip, but you also have to worry about how much damage Triple is going to be able to take out. And even though he hasn't participated in anything so far this game, it still feels like there is some chance for an Akali to come in. There is still that window of opportunity for the next few minutes. If they're able to find a team fight on the side of FlyQuest Academy, they will be able to get Triple into the game, and that's going to be the win condition, I think, at this point, Magical.
It's going to have to be, because you always have to worry about the fact that Tomo, even if you can get this Jinx excited, that Haunter is so far ahead. That Haunter is gunning for the backline, gunning for someone like Triple, someone like Tomo. And if you can take those two out, like you said, those are the ones that you're trying to rely on. Well, now they're no longer alive, and you can't really have them do what they need to, especially with the monkey on top of them.
It's going to be difficult, not impossible. TSM Academy, though, are playing very well around this lead that they've built up. They're going into the jungle, getting the vision they need, and are setting up for the same teleport plays that made them really successful in the last game, Magical. You can see Haunter still has the teleport available, and when the dragon spawns in about 2 minutes, you have to feel like if FlyQuest Academy doesn't sweep out their jungle, it's going to be a bloodbath.
Looked bad there for a second for Triple, but now Kumo getting a lot of pressure top lane by himself, being able to take a lot of damage. Hopefully going to be able to get a little bit more gold back for the team, since right now, since things have slowed down a bit, we've been having a bit more of the farm game between the two teams, trying to see if they can buy some of these mythic items before they clash. Well, that means that that massive gold lead that was accrued by TSM Academy, where they had a 3,000 gold lead, has been shrunk, even if it's only slight. It's down to 2,000 gold lead, is enough to make FlyQuest feel a little bit more confident going into these next skirmishes.
The good news is, and speaking of Triple once again, he has completed a Night Harvester. Will be able to do a lot more damage should he be able to find the targets he needs, but those targets are becoming really, really hard to find just because TSM Academy, once they have a lead, they'll usually clump together. They'll play the 4-1, and that one person that you think is alone, never going to be easy. Haunter, especially, is just so tanky right now that I don't think Triple has anyone to go after, so instead, deciding to split push towards the bottom. He has teleport available, but I feel like a teleport play at this stage in the game, not what FlyQuest Academy are looking for.
No, but right now, we are having the power of TSM Academy's composition when they're ahead, where they have the siege, even if it's much earlier than I expected. Zoe, Varus, when they're unlocked from their own lanes, and you can see how fast they can clear out these minion waves, force back Tomo, who's so immobile and really can't venture too far outside of the turret. And TSM Academy themselves are setting up to look for this dive to try to see if they can find anyone. But without that chain of corruptions for Cody-san, it does seem like it would be a risky venture.
It'd be risky, but not impossible. You could see that even that amount of risk was too much for TSM Academy, so instead, going for the Rift Herald, definitely the right call. There's still the ability to plant it towards that mid side and eventually get Cody-san rolling. And if they take it fast enough, they might be able to spawn it and then go for the dragon immediately afterwards. You can see it spawning in 20 seconds. Going to be the Cloud Soul available on the map for this game. I feel like TSM Academy more primed for it at the moment, but a good skirmish could still set FlyQuest over the edge.
I feel like right now, for the side of FlyQuest, this is actually the right call. They're getting a lot of pressure onto the side lane coming in from a Triple. Probably going to be able to get himself this turret, meaning more gold into the pockets of an Akali. And you can see the CS lead, because Triple's been getting so much alone time in these side lanes, while Sword's been trying to back up Cody-san to be able to harass and try to knock down this tier 1, get themselves a good position to be able to invade the jungle. It's to let this Akali get to a point where she's going to get scared, even though they're trying to get the dive on Kumo. It's a risky venture. I've already mentioned it before. Kumo's still alive. Triple. They have so much damage. And look at that. They got the shutdown they needed to on to Haunter, and they followed it up onto Yurson. The Bip trying to escape with Sword, but he's stunned up by NXI, followed up for a double kill out of the bear.
It makes so much of a difference, Magical, when you have these item points completed. You can see how much damage Triple was able to put out versus Sword, who doesn't have the Mythic completed yet. He instead went for the stopwatch, went for the Lost Chapter, and doesn't have it completed yet, Magical. So much damage comes out. TSM Academy, they get greedy, they lose for it.
And they're going to lose this dragon that they were set up to be able to get themselves. They had knocked down that primary turret in mid lane. They wanted to see if they can at least take down Kumo and a TP flank option. But unfortunately, you're trying to dive at Aatrox. Even if you have some grievous wounds, he's going to heal up a damn lot. He is not an easy target to be able to take down immediately. And Hanser, unfortunately, bit off way more than he could chew.
Now, the one thing I have to criticize is FlyQuest Academy were not able to donate the kills over to Triple, who really needs them at this stage in the game. He has 3 assists off of that play, but unfortunately, all of the gold goes to Gragas and NXI. Not what you want. TSM Academy, with their overextension, just barely lose out on that play, and man, do they lose hard.
But the thing is, if I'm FlyQuest, I'll take it. I'll take it. You know what? Doesn't go over to Triple? Sure. It is a bit of a loss. You'd love that to be able to go into the pockets of Akali. But they still get gold back. The gold is now dead even between the two teams when they had that deficit where Hanser was able to pick up all that gold. Now, unfortunately, Dreams, he's going to die here. You sacrifice him. You don't even try to see if you can defend him.
I believe you call that the Academy Special, Magical.
Oh, no. And now Kumo trying to be able to survive. This time around, you don't have the TP to be able to help you out. And he was way too far, too. So now, like you said, Academy Special... 2 for there. They got a 2 for 1, and they're going to be able to get themselves a turret off of TSM, which gives them that gold lead right back.
But you can see in the top lane, Triple just playing to the FlyQuest Academy playbook, going for the split push while all of this is happening. Without the teleport, he's not going to be able to make a counter play. TSM Academy, they capitalize well. They get the turrets they want. They get kills added to their score, and with that, they get a small gold lead. So still keeping about 900 ahead.
Right, and that's the thing. You're getting the gold lead back for TSM Academy where they had pretty much burned a lot of that lead, giving it over to FlyQuest off of that last play. Well, this time, you know what? It's a little bit better. They're able to get themselves the turret as well. They get 2 kills, 1 more into Hanser's pocket. So when we take a look at this play, Dreams, it was just a good catch and good read coming in from TSM Academy. Here, Kumo needs a bail. He's sticking around that turret. You see Dreams dying, you get out of there.
There was also a teleport that came in from the side of TSM Academy. I believe that was Hanser that came in. And with that, Kumo, he just bit off a lot more than he could chew. The play was already happening in the jungle. He had nowhere to run. He tries to stay by the turret. And quite honestly, I don't think there was a right answer in that situation.
Like I said, you let Dreams die and you bail. That's the only thing you really can do. The turret's dead. Don't even try to defend it. You know that you're not going to be able to. It's the side of TSM Academy, even if they've botched one of their dives, they still have a really good dive composition. A lot of good range poke coming in from both Sword and Cody-san. Hanser and Babip are going to be able to dive and survive for a really long time. Gore Drinker has been completed for Babip, having Sterix Gauge as well for Hanser. They are going to be able to absorb so much of the damage coming in from these turrets. And now,
Chains of Corruption.
And it's the Everfrost coming in from Sword. Yep. I was right. Wow.
Yeah, it's coming in. It's a very strong pick, as you said, the ability to lock down from range. Very, very efficient against this team that wants to just run around and keep Tomo safe. Well, if he gets locked down, he's not going to be safe for very long. Hanser and Kumo just going to be playing footsie in the top lane. Not going to be much happening as of yet because of the waves. But in the mid side, looks like TSM Academy have picked up that second-tier turret and will be pushing in towards the jungle.
More gold being funneled into the pockets of TSM Academy. Fortunately, this time it's not into Hanser, but again, getting any sort of advantage is what you need to be able to, especially with the skirmish-heavy compositions that both sides have. Now they're posturing around more vision control, especially now that you can see where the turrets, similar to last time, where FlyQuest Academy were able to get the side lane turrets, right? They were able to push so far down, but they weren't able to get that tier 1 mid lane. It took them so long before they knocked down that structure that it allowed TSM to completely reign free into the jungle.
It's been a very difficult road for FlyQuest Academy to get positioned into their own jungle, but kudos to TSM Academy for putting down that pressure and also putting down the 3 control wards necessary to control that top side. Definitely going to have all the sight that they need, as the Baron is going to be an objective soon. But as I say that, the Dragon is spawning up in about 50 seconds, and I feel like both teams are angling towards that side of the map, more so because this is Soul Point. If FlyQuest Academy can get it, and TSM Academy, they just want more dragons. Why not?
But it's the clown soul, man. It's not it's not as good. That's why you can even see that FlyQuest don't really care. They're like, okay, sure, tie us up on dragons, whatever. We're trying to posture around this bear and try to see if we can take a little bit of control, since they still are at 1,000 gold deficit between them and TSM. They want to be able to make sure that they can maintain some level of control on one half of the map. They're not going to be able to get both, not when you're out of deficit. So at least getting it around the Baron is going to make sure that TSM can't just burn that when their backs are turned.
So TSM Academy in response are just sticking towards the bot side, saying you can have all our vision, you can have all the control of your own jungle that you want, but we're taking this dragon, and we might even get a pick here.
And here we go, Dreams. This is why we like the Gragas pick, right? Look at how little damage there was from the Battlestar that time around. Much better, much better.
Definitely a smarter pick as NXI dodging out, and TSM Academy just continues to pressure on the south side of the jungle. Dragon has spawned in, but so far no attempt has been made yet. It's just about posturing and seeing if the catch out happens.
Hauntzer wants to be able to find yet another flank, too. He's been able to make these work so well on Wukong. You think game 2, how immaculate so many of those were that was able to split apart FlyQuest. This time, it is going to be more tricky, because FlyQuest can play that skirmish style and split up fight, too. So you need to make sure you're patient, waiting it out, finding Tomo, finding Triple before you actually want to go for the full-on engage.
And so far, Cody's son goes for the Chains of Corruption. A lot of damage.
Oh. And here's the TP. Well, that's an interesting TP coming in from Triple. He's just trying to see if he can get the flank. He is looking for Cody's son to be able to get a light. He's going to be able to advance around, try to get away. They have your son with an Agnet Storm, locking down Triple, but Triple back into the back line, wanting to be able to take down Cody's son, who's still barely alive. Now instead turning the attention back on to Sword and your son.
Forcing flashes.
Look at Haunter. He got nothing. He's still alive, but the shield is only going to be able to delay the inevitable for so long as Tomo finally falls. They finally got the kill. They finally turned it around for Triple as well with the flash in from Kumo, trying to chase down Cody's son. Trying to see if he can make sure it's a double kill for FlyQuest Academy. Control around the Dragon Pit goes their way.
If you're a fan of FlyQuest Academy or TSM Academy, that could not have been easy on your heart. A back and forth skirmish with Triple and Kumo just dodging in and out. Haunter gets the nice flank, but unfortunately doesn't have the same damage that he did in game 2, so it doesn't make the huge teamfight victory, and FlyQuest Academy walk out with more kills and the dragon at the end of all is said and done.
And that's the thing, right? Not only did they win the fight, but they got the objective they came for. They can now see if they can back off, use that gold they've just accrued for themselves, transition that all around the Baron Pit. If they want, of course, they can get themselves that soul later on. It's only the Cloud Soul, not really that important, but Triple here is the hero, trying to make sure they can take Cody-san out of the equation.
Also, huge shout out to Yurson, able to get the nice crash down onto Triple to make sure he doesn't go back in with E2. Very, very well done to keep his carries alive. Unfortunately, Haunter just isn't able to follow up with the damage, and the rest of the team is routed. So TSM Academy, they think they have positioning, but unfortunately, FlyQuest Academy just got the better of them in that fight.
That they did. It was still messy.
Very
by all means. It was chaotic all across the board. It almost seemed like Haunter was going to be able to 1v5 with that huge shield he got from the Sterix Cage, but unfortunately, that's not enough. Even without Tomo, you had highlighted that Triple is so impactful and so important, but we also failed to realize the power that Kumo can have in these fights. Now that he's got that Gore Drinker completed, even with the Bramble Vest from before, it is going to be so tricky to not only kill Kumo, but to survive the damage he's able to throw back at you.
And as the game moves on, that gets even harder because Cody-san on this lethality build, yes, it's going to do a lot in the mid game, but it doesn't scale well, Magical. If he doesn't get a kill, then that Duskblade will never proc. He's never going to be safe against the likes of Kumo, NXI, and Triple, who are just going to be on him the entire game. So Cody-san really playing it risky and unfortunately put himself on a timer with this build.
And now, with both teams, we're dead even. Back to being even in gold. There's going to be the control the FlyQuest have now gotten themselves despite that. With the dragons they have in their pockets, the fact that they've been able to push some of the vision back towards TSM's own jungle, it means that they are now the ones that can try to see if they can be proactive, try to see if they can catch out TSM Academy instead of having to fear that their own jungle is a nightmare situation.
It's looking pretty dangerous, but FlyQuest Academy are getting routed themselves, and this is a dangerous place to be if you're on the blue side. You don't want to be in this little chokehold in the mid lane. You want to make sure you have room to roam around and you have the ability to flank. Because you can see Yurson almost looking for it.
This is going to be the next. This fight is going to be what decides it. You can see that they got Haunter with Triple on the other side. But look at the shields for Haunter. He's still alive, trying to get the damage back on
Tomo, though.
He finally died. Tomo's able to take him out.
Triple!
He's on the other side. You're still trying to see if he can help out, but he's only helping out Sword. He's leaving Bobip to dry. It's a shutdown pickup, sure, but there's 4 members from FlyQuest on top of the Baron.
And that's a jungler that stays alive. NXI was able to keep his health bar high. Yurson and Sword, the only defending members. I feel like FlyQuest Academy are going to be able to get this, even if the poke goes down.
Sword, I think, wants to see if he can find the snipe onto Tomo. They don't want to give up that easily, but FlyQuest Academy, yet again, find a perfect fight that works out well. They only trade the life of one, and they get themselves the Baron.
And the big difference, Magical, between the last fight around the dragon and this fight around the mid lane is that there was no peel. Yurson could not take triple away from the carries. And you saw the kill that came out. You saw the summoner spells that came out. And a beautiful stopwatch, and I believe Zhonya's, coming from triple meant there was no way for TSM Academy to defend against the Akali. They get the kill in the end. But what does that really matter when you've lost your carries and you lose 3 kills to one person diving in?
Now it's a 2,500 gold lead for FlyQuest Academy, but we got to take a look at this fight, and it's, again, split up. Hanser tries his damnedest to be able to keep so many members at bay, but they have to be so worried about triple.
Yeah, 4 members are on triple at this point in the fight. A very nice Zhonya's means there's nothing they can do against him. He's just zoning them out, and the awkward positioning between Hanser and the rest of TSM Academy means there's no capitalization onto Tomo, the other damage threat. He gets free damage to the whole fight. Yes, it's on only 2 people, but that doesn't matter. He stays alive, full health. I think we take that team fight anytime we can if we're FlyQuest Academy.
Exactly. And now with them having this lead, they are the ones that are driving this game, trying to see if they can get more gold into their pockets, making sure each structure is going to be taken down cleanly and patiently with that soul on the line as well. FlyQuest are in the perfect position to try to end this game.
And you can see they're trying to push up towards that jungle, much like TSM did in Game 2. It might not be as successful. You can see the vision going down already for TSM Academy. They have the control wards. They're trying to keep pressure, but Hanser might be in a little over his head.
But the thing is, keep in mind that Hanser is more than comfortable being in a 1v2. He's been fighting 1v4 this entire time. Instead, they turn it back around onto Kumo.
Triple!
He has a shield, but it's not enough. Triple hasn't been able to get the kills just yet. Kumo dies to the shutdown coming in from Hanser, jumping into the backline onto Tomo, trying to see if they can keep up the fight. They've got the shutdown onto Tomo. NXI running for the hills to be able to get that, but TSM Academy, they turn it back around. Triple Dreams, they're caught in a rock and a hard flush trying to escape from the fight. Cody's barely alive, and Triple, he's trying his best, but he can't. He's taken down.
What a peel coming out of Yurson, able to stop Triple from getting the damage he needs onto the AD, but TSM Academy, they find the weakness, they find the perfect timing to go in onto NXI and Kumo. Hanser, it looked scary at first, but there was no damage around him. As you said, he's been 1v2 this entire game, Magical. And because he was able to stay alive so long, the rest of the team collapses faster than FlyQuest Academy could get over there.
Incredible stuff from TSM Academy. Backs up against the wall, and they still find a fight that works out this time around. They're able to get the split up fight. FlyQuest Academy didn't have the proper positioning to be able to really focus down Hanser quick enough, and if you can't take out this Wukong fast enough, you can see how quickly Hanser turns these fights like a dime.
And one of the things is Triple was unable to get any of the kills because the exhaust coming out of Sword very well placed and able to stall out the fight long enough for the rest of TSM Academy to get the picks they needed. And even though the carries weren't there, there's still a lot of damage coming in from this draft. TSM Academy plays it well. They're able to divert resources where they need to be, and really there was not a lot FlyQuest could do, as you could say.
Look at the CP from Hanser. He is looking for the flank. Tomo is really far out. Dreams is caught out by the corrupting chains, and the flash in Hanser on top of
so
Tomo,
much damage.
Flash away as well. They're going to be able to chase it down with the double cycle coming in to get a lot of damage on Dreams and burn him down quickly. Sleepy Trouble Bubble. They want to be able to put him to sleep. They've got the kill onto the carries. Only Triple now in the middle of all 5 trying to be able to survive, but it's a double kill for Cody's on TSM Academy. They've got another fight, and with the minions already here, only one surviving at NXI, they're looking for the game.
It's looking like the end, Magical. They pushed on. They've gotten the picks they need. They're getting the inhibitor. They have a wave. I think TSM Academy came from behind to win this one back.
One more fight. 2v5. Kumo and XI against the world. They've got a lot of damage, but they only get a trade of 1-for-1. Kumo trying to see if he can be the world ender and end the world, but his world is ended. TSM Academy, they found the victory. What a fight. What a series. 2-1. TSM Academy will march on forward, and they will face off against Evil Genius's Academy.
Magical, I don't think you could ever call that game clean by any stretch of imagination. I don't think you could call that series clean by any stretch of imagination. But TSM Academy, when they draft to their strengths, man, oh man, are they a scary force to be reckoned with. They were able to take games 2 and 3. They looked pretty darn good in 2. And even though there were some falters in 3, I feel like TSM Academy still showed a lot of strength. They still found the weakness that they needed, and they found their opportunity and took it.
What a game, though. Honestly, that game was back and forth so many times. I did not think that. Fine. At one moment, I'm like, oh, TSM Academy have it. Then the next moment, I'm like, oh, FlyQuest Academy have it. Back and forth. Like you said, not necessarily clean, but that was exciting to watch.
It sure was. I mean, it's just the fact that both of them drafted skirmish comps. It came down to who can find the early pick, and Hanser, once again, just proving himself to be the toppest of top tiers in that lane when it comes to fighting against an enemy team. The 1v5 god himself coming out, even though it didn't win every single time, he went for it every single time.
And it's just his flanks that were so good in some of these fights, and honestly, it really was the deciding factor. You can even see in a lot of these team fights that didn't go their way, 1v5. He's in the middle of everyone, and still it takes so much to actually kill him.
It's like the opposite of what you would think is the logical case, where if it doesn't work, 1v5, don't try it again. Like, it's not going to work again, but he just keeps going over and over. 1v5, 1v4. It doesn't work out in this situation, but that's just because Triple had 4 other members of TSM Academy completely routed and managed to get the kill. As the game went on, though, Cody Sun was able to survive, and Triple was not able to get the picks he needed, and that was the deciding factor between FlyQuest Academy and TSM Academy. You could see him on the top side. He just can't get in, and it's entirely before TSM Academy is able to rout his team.
Exactly, and Hanser is doing so much to make sure that if Triple can't do anything, well, then you're relying on Tomo, right? And now Tomo can't do anything because Hanser's on top of him. There's just so much power taken away from FlyQuest Academy based off Hanser's performance here.
It's just so powerful, this top laner that's able to get pressure in the early game, even receive the pressure in the early game, getting a lot of ganks. And even if he fails, he tries and tries again. That's the sort of mentality you see out of very experienced players, just able to know what the game plan is, even if it doesn't succeed the first time.
And here, it was just the final fight that broke the camel's back for FlyQuest Academy. Unfortunate for them, it was such a well-fought battle there in Game 3. It was back and forth between the two squads, but only one can move forward. And TSM Academy are the team that were able to secure that. It was awesome to be able to see them come back in that game, but I do hear that we're going to have Sword for our Verizon player interview. So why don't we go and hear from you, Sword? Congratulations on your victory in that series. That was a close one, so give me your thoughts on that final game.
Thank you. And I'm just like really happy and really relieved that we win the game 3, because it was like really, really close. We were winning early. We got like 3 kills, but we kind of threw it away a little bit, and I kind of got really behind. But just felt really great to win the game 3, because a lot of best of 3 series that we play, we just lose the game 3, and yeah,
but it looked good. I mean, you won that game 3, you were able to pull it out. But I want to ask about that game 1, the Seraphine pick. So it was something that kind of worked in concept, but what do you think is Seraphine something that TSM is going to play going forward, or is that maybe something that you now keep in the pocket and maybe wait to bring it out?
I have a lot of champions to draft, but we thought about many different draft scenarios, and we just thought Seraphine was a good fit for the team comp. I definitely need more practice on the champion, so we'll see what happens.
But I will say, series. I personally loved your Zoe. Your Zoe was, especially game 2, you looked really awesome in that one, even if it wasn't necessarily like the highest KDA. Your Sleepy Trouble Bubbles were immaculate. The paddle stars you had, and I gotta say, that's the pick I really want to see. I know it's one of your special picks, so it's like, have you been playing that champion pretty much since she's come out and spamming her a bunch?
Yeah, Zoe is basically my favorite champion, and I just feel really comfortable no matter what matchup I play, so I just find it whenever. So yeah, it's pretty good.
So looking forward now, you have Evil Geniuses Academy that you'll be playing against. You've played against them before. Are there any tricks that you're going to pull out? Are you excited about the matchup? What do you think it's going to be like fighting against them in the lower bracket semifinals?
I think the series is going to be pretty fun for tomorrow against EG, because they're like they play for kills a lot, so it's gonna be some Fiesta games. Excited for it.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's like that definitely can look maybe a little familiar to that third game that we saw here. But looking at the series, I think that you guys, especially if you can play like you did in games 2, you looked really solid in that one. Game 3 was definitely up in there, but I want to ask your opinion on how Hanser was able to play onto this Wukong, and that seems to be something you guys rely on. Is his ability to flank? Is that right?
Oh yeah, Hanser, we just know he's a great player. He's a great leader, so we just play around him, and yeah, it usually works. So that's what we do.
So I got a question for you. Speaking of Hanser, now we did see in an interview with Kangas earlier this week that Hanser was able to show a pretty impressive flex. Sword, when are we going to see your flex?
You know, TSM got the gym in the facility, so me and your son have been gymming almost every day. So maybe in like a 3 months. Or maybe like 3 years. I'll show you guys.
Love to hear it.
Yeah.
Well, I believe in you. I think you can get it. I think you can get it in 3 months. I believe in you. Thank you, Sword, for joining us here for the interview. You were awesome. Congratulations on the victory, and we wish you luck tomorrow against Evil Geniuses Academy.
Thank you.
But yeah, with that, TSM Academy going to move forward in that lower bracket. It's going to face off against Evil Geniuses Academy. And as Sword kind of alluded to, they like to play a lot of that skirmish style. We saw that up against Cloud9 Academy in that second game where it was all over the place.
I mean, chaos is sort of the name of the game when you're casting any academy or amateur game, and quite honestly, I expect to see way more, but honestly, we've got more gameplay to cover, Magical. It's going to be 100 Thieves Academy versus Golden Guardians Academy in this bracket. You can see it right there coming up soon, and I think this is going to be even more chaotic than what we just saw.
Well, we'll have to see when we get into that series and see who's going to win to be able to face off against another Evil Geniuses, but Evil Geniuses Prodigies in the semifinals for the losers bracket. But I'm going to say, after that first series, I'm excited for the next one. I was expecting the next one to be a really close one. This first one ended up being super close. I'm hoping we have that same thing in our second series, but we're going to toss it to a break. When we come back, we'll be getting ready for that second series of 100 Thieves Academy against Golden Guardians Academy. Stick around. Welcome back into the Proving Grounds. We're getting ready for our second series. Sam, were you not ready?
No, I was, just making some last-minute touch-ups. You know how it is.
Oh, yeah. Well, not really. I just get my tea. And I usually just put a suit on, and whatever suit I grab first is usually what I put on, and just kind of brush my hair to the side.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, but you know what? We got an exciting series that is ahead of us. It's going to be 100 Thieves Academy versus Golden Guardians Academy. After having witnessed FlyQuest Academy and TSM Academy going back and forth in that series where TSM Academy barely clawed themselves out of victory, I'm hoping we have another one going into the second series, and we're going to have something just as nail-bitingly close as that first series.
Well, both of these teams are really coming from entirely different places, Magical. I mean, we've got number 3 seed 100 Thieves Academy coming in to these lower bracket quarterfinals, the second round, versus Golden Guardians, who started off, I believe, 10th or 11th seed, coming in against them. And really, when you think about the trajectories of both of them, Golden Guardians have been on fire, it feels like, the last few weeks, and 100 Thieves Academy haven't been looking the same that they did in the regular season.
No, and Golden Guardians Academy, they were one of the teams towards the bottom. I believe them and Evil Geniuses Academy were both tied towards the bottom of the standings in the spring split. And look at both of them. They were looking so fantastic going into Proving Grounds, and it's looking like they're nearly unstoppable. In fact, Golden Guardians Academy are a team that, when on paper you look at them, you'd be a bit surprised. They're usually down at gold and 15, but they keep having these skirmishes, these crazy, chaotic games that tend to just go their way, especially because they like to fight, and you can see that from the first blood percentage.
And I mean, you could see the goal difference as well. Looking at both of these teams, they like to fight later on, but early, usually that's where they falter. 100 Thieves Academy and Golden Guardians Academy both. They usually don't find their footing until around the 20-25 minute mark, and then the team fights have become so good out of Golden Guardians, and I like to think that's because of the bot lanes coming out of both of these teams. When you look at both the ADs, I feel like both Luger and Prismal have shown incredible performances. Luger especially coming in later on into the season, and Prismal just a solid foundation for this Golden Guardians Academy team.
You can see that from their stats. They look nearly even between these two teams. It's crazy to see how these ADCs are so impactful for their teams, right? They're so pivotal for what they want to be able to accomplish.
I mean, the damage percentage alone speaks volumes. They're literally off by 0.3%. You don't see that very often, Magical, and the gold percentage as well. You could tell that both teams really favor the bot lane. They're trying to give their ADs as much as humanly possible. Luger and Prismal both playing out of their minds. I feel like Luger has had standout performances in the regular season, and Prismal, especially throughout Giant Slayer and the LCS Proving Grounds, has been just such a meteoric rise.
He really has. He's been absolutely insane. And so looking at how things have been, and Luger as well is one of these players that just kind of been looking amazing since coming in, I think, week 3 for 100 Thieves Academy, where he jumped in, and since joining into the roster, he just looked fantastic. He has been the player that everyone has been talking about.
It's really going to be a close match between these two, but how they draft around it is going to be a bit of a surprise, I feel like. Prismal, I believe, pulled out the Vayne, but that was in an earlier patch before during the regular season. I feel like it could very much happen again. Luger is more able to play the Senna style. He can carry on anything, but I feel like I've been most impressed with his Senna and the Beef Balls, sort of that combination going on for the team composition. It could work out for 100 Thieves Academy. In this specific matchup, though, I feel like the Tahm Kench and Senna lane is going to be very pivotal. And I feel like Golden Guardians Academy are more looking for the aggro lanes, you know, the Tristana Rels, the Xayah and Alistairs, the things that we've seen all throughout most teams in the
That's not to say that Luger can't play those as well. Luger is completely capable of piloting the Kaisas and the Tristanas just as well. So that's the thing I think that gives 100 Thieves Academy so much of an edge, right? They have this ability to really kind of change things up with a style that isn't necessarily so concrete in the bot lane.
It really is the flexibility of 100 Thieves Academy that I love to watch this team. Like, anytime they do something a little bit different, I'm excited. And I feel like they're going to pull something different out today, but they have to go against Golden Guardians Academy, who really love their team fighting. And that in general just makes for an exciting game in a head-to-head.
And I will say this about 100 Thieves Academy as well. So far, every series that they've won in Proving Grounds, at least one, has been a 2-1 victory. The only loss that they have against Evil Geniuses Academy was that 2-0. Oh, no, Evil Geniuses Prodigy, sorry. It was a 2-0 loss that they faced. And so, if it's the same trend, if 100 Thieves Academy end up winning, it's going to be a close series. Or Golden Guardians on the other side, they have won 2-0 or lost 2-0, similar to FlyQuest before.
Yeah, it's honestly just one of those teams that didn't look particularly impressive early on. Once the players got their experience, they were able to show up, and I feel like it's that scrappiness, the fact that they had to come up from the bottom and really rise from the ashes, that makes them such an interesting team. The fact that they can go in these 2-1s, maybe not play the cleanest games, but still come out victorious.
Hey, they took down Team Liquid Academy, the number 2 seed, in a 2-0 match. And then they beat Zeus Gaming, which was one of those underdog stories that everyone's like, Zeus are the team that can't be stopped. Well, Golden Guardians Academy stopped them. They stopped them right in their tracks and continued to press forward, only having dropped that first series to start off the Proving Grounds. I don't know if anyone really can stop them with this momentum that they've been able to have for themselves.
It's going to be difficult, not necessarily impossible, though, because 100 Thieves Academy, they have the answers. They just need the consistency more than anything else. I feel like throughout the Proving Grounds, the two that looked great in the regular season, in Kenvi and Tenacity, in the jungle and top lane respectively, have been really shaky. And I feel like that foundation being lost really does lend itself to a very difficult situation for the 100 Thieves Academy. However, they have found a lot of, that solidity that they lost in Demonte, who's, I think, been popping off in Proving Grounds.
He's been looking really hot. What was it, the other series where he played Orianna, got 10 kills on that Orianna, where normally everyone always talks about Demonte as being this assassin player. Well, he's been looking pretty hot on those control mages, despite the fact that he has that notorious record about the assassins on his name. So if he continues this, I mean, he's pretty much showing people why he is always mentioned in conversations. Why is he not in LCS? Why are they not bringing him up? Because he is showing here in Proving Grounds that he is a top talent.
And between him and Ryoma, I feel like there's just such a night and day sort of thing going on, where some strengths that Ryoma has, especially in control mages, especially in playing consistently, really doesn't apply in the same way to Demonte. He has pop-off performances. He's more of that, flashy mid laner that you see so often. And I feel like on 100 Thieves Academy, they're looking more for the flashy plays between him and Luger.
Right, and that can work out very well. They can end up being something that they can fall back to. But when you go up against a team like Golden Guardians Academy, it's like going up against Zeus. This is why I'm going to bring them up. It's because when you have a chaotic team, when you have a team that's willing to fight scrappy, to play all over the place and try to make any risky play possible, sometimes it ends up working out for them. It's a coin flip after all. If the coin lands on heads and they called heads, well, they're going to be the victors.
It's going to be really close, but honestly, it's going to come down to how they choose to draft around teams, and I feel like 100 Thieves Academy have shown a pretty interesting draft. Like I said, there was a lot of more flexibility in the bot lane, but they also show a lot of flexibility because of Demonte. He's played the Renekton mid, and I feel like with that ability to be flexible and with the ability to pick melee mid laners as opposed to pure control mages, you have such a breadth of opportunity that I don't think Golden Guardians quite has.
No, it is going into Unity, who likes to play a lot of those control mages as well to try to keep some distance. So we'll see how they're going to be able to draft, getting ready to jump into Champions Select for game number 1 between 100 Thieves Academy and Golden Guardians Academy, starting it off immediately with that Gnar ban.
And Renekton going to be fired right on back. 100 Thieves Academy can use it as a flex pick. Both Demonte and Tenacity pretty good on that champion, so no surprises there. Udyr Hecarim still on the board. Tristana no longer on the board. So we're still seeing stuff that's very much within the bounds of what we expect on 11.6.
Well, and that's the thing. When you're on a patch for so long, you kind of get accustomed to a certain type of draft and certain power picks, such as that Thresh being taken away from Pum, not really wanting that to be that immediate first pick that they can latch onto. But same with the Rel over towards Chime, who's been loving to use that to be able to back up Prismal at every step.
And Rel is definitely going to be a big takeaway because Golden Guardians Academy also have a pretty strong Rel, but at the same time, Chime is one of those supports that, although has been playing a lot of the engage, I feel like has the strength to go elsewhere, can play more of the disengage, the Gragas's, the Threshes, even the Tahm Kench's, but since that's banned away, he might have to just stay standard here. Alistar is still available.
But I like that ban. You kind of talked about it before, that Luger has been going on to that Senna Tahm Kench bot lane. Well, there are still the options for fasting Senna that you can get outside of just having a Tahm Kench, but that does make it a little less likely to happen. It can still be a pick that they want to go for. Instead of going for the normal typical jungle picks, we have both Hecarim and Udyr left open. They seem to want to be able to get Demonte back onto this Orianna that he's been able to pilot so efficiently.
That's such an interesting idea for the first pick. It opens up Demonte for being counterpicked. It opens up the jungle support or the jungle pick over to Golden Guardians Academy, and the Kai'Sa's still left up for Prismals. So I gotta say, I don't know if I entirely agree with this from Golden Glue.
But the thing is, there are a lot of powerful picks still left open for both teams. Yeah, the Kai'Sa being traded over for the Orianna. Not sure if I'm as sold like you are, but it's still one of those things that you kind of have to say, all right, what would you rather have? Do we want Demonte to be comfortable into Yunbi, or do we want to be able to get that Kai'Sa for Luger, since we know Luger has been comfortable going onto so many different playstyles, different picks? Instead, they're just going to trade, go for the typical Hecarim and Udyr jungle trade. Orianna, I'm really wondering if they're going to go for the ADC here, if they want to lock in that Senna and try to see if they can really rely on that fallback.
They're really waiting for the bot lane instead, so Luger and Poom going to have their pick of the litter against Golden Guardians Academy. They already know that Kai'Sa's been locked in. They've taken away Yumbi's main strength in Orianna, so I guess that was most of the impetus for that pick, but still picking it early feels like such an interesting and different way of going about draft. Alistar going to be locked in for Golden Guardians, and I feel like they're going to aim the rest of their bans over towards Poom, who still has a few options available in Nautilus specifically, as well as Leona.
Right, there's still some options, while maybe the top tier S supports have been taken away, even taking away that Tom Kench that can do well. I still think that maybe Senna might be the option that Golden Guardians want to find themselves banning away, just because there are different things that you can pair up with that Senna that aren't really things that you normally would think of. Normally, you're kind of thinking about the supports like Nautilus and Leona. Well, if you have Senna, that support actually does become a lot stronger that you can easily fall back to, and that'd be a great takeaway. Even though I do want to see if Tally might want to grab that for himself, since it does so well into something like a Scion. These are options that you have to kind of consider.
There are definitely options on the table. We talked about the Galio as well as an option for 100 Thieves Academy. I just don't think Senna is going to be the answer necessarily from 100 Thieves, because you want the Thresh Kench in order to keep your Senna alive. With the comp they've drafted, they don't have a whole lot of appeal. But as Golden Guardians Academy finish their bans off, they are going to take away the Jinx and allow the Senna through. So if 100 Thieves Academy want to go for it, they have the option.
Exactly, and I think as we get further in, well, Luger maybe not going for that Senna. Maybe Varus is the fallback that they want to draft for themselves instead, to be able to make it a little bit more comfortable for themselves in that laning phase, to be able to poke out something like this Kai'Sa. I'm expecting something utility like that to be able to really help out this team and maybe put Poom in a far stronger position, as Seraphine is going to be picked by Yunbi into the Orianna.
Okay, so picking into a weak lane, that's still fine. I feel like the top lane is going to be really telling out of Golden Guardians Academy right now. They need something that can tear through a tank, because yes, Kai'Sa will do damage late game. It just won't be enough to solo carry an entire composition, as we see 100 Thieves Academy going for the Caitlyn. Okay, so one of the Caitlyn Morgana lane. Very interesting out of them, so definitely a old classic. Caitlyn has come up every now and again in Season 11, but seeing it here in lower bracket quarterfinals, I'm surprised, to say the least, Magical.
I'm a little bit surprised as well, because it's not like all the ADCs were taken away. That's why we were kind of going through the list of them. But I actually kind of like this draft. It's something that's not necessarily going to be easy for them to get through that black shield. They always have to worry about who's got the black shield on top of them. And Luger always is going to be able to win this lane with the Caitlyn Morgana and something that's so low range, such as Kai'Sa and Alistar.
I, however, am going to question the Nocturne. I suppose we do still have a game to play out, but the Nocturne into Scion matchup. Now, you do get a little bit of advantage in the early game. You are able to get a lot of kill pressure early on, and the roams are possible, but I feel like Tally could have fixed something a lot stronger that scales a lot better into the late game, especially when you're against a team fight composition like this. And Nocturne just isn't going to cut the mustard, if you know what I mean.
I mean, no, because I really don't spend my time cutting mustard. That's a really
Fair
weird
enough.
thing to cut. I
That's you.
prefer cutting like bread or like get like a cookie cutter, but that's besides the point. We're here to talk about this game, and Nocturne top lane is something that we do see sometimes, right? We've been seeing it kind of crop up a little bit more, especially on 11.6, 11.7, seeing that he has that flexibility, but I'm kind of with you. It's the reason why I'm not necessarily as sold is that now you're relying on Tally to be that AD threat, because Kai'Sa will have that mixed damage. She's going to be just with her kit have some mixed damage. A part of it, since Yunbi as a Seraphine really isn't your AD AP source anymore. You've made it so that she is going to be that secondary support to help out and set up the team.
Yeah, you usually draft Seraphine, as we talked about in the previous series with FlyQuest Academy and TSM Academy. You draft Seraphine when you have a secondary carry beyond your AD. So you have Kai'Sa, and that's great, but you need something else. You need something that's going to scale in the late game, particularly if you're a team that loves to fight late game, which Golden Gardens Academy definitely love to do. I feel like Tally doesn't have the same options he does as he would with, say, Gangplank, for example. I think would have been a much better pick.
That is true, but you know what? There's skirmish. It could work out in that mid-game to try to see if it can beat 100 Thieves Academy before then. Try to see if they can split apart, divide, and conquer. We've loaded up for game number 1 in our second series of the day. We want to find out who's going to move on in these losers brackets quarterfinals to try to face off against Evil Genius's prodigies.
Well, Golden Gardens Academy are definitely the up-and-comers in this matchup, and they've shown quite a bit of team fighting prowess. Let's see how they do when they don't really have a lot of easy CC to land. Yes, you can go in with Chime, Yunbi, and Rosethorn, but Tally's usually one to follow up with a ton of AoE damage, particularly on Gangplank, Ornn, and a lot of the team fight characters that you more often see in the top side. On this Nocturne, I have doubts, but it's not necessarily over for Golden Guardians. They still have a game to play out, and they still have a means of using this pick.
Well, the thing is, I even think that this isn't necessarily a bad composition. I just think that with this composition, it's a time limit that you now put yourself on. You have to be able to win by a certain time, and it's going to be difficult. The Orianna Seraphine lane is a shake of hands until eventually Orianna just does more damage than Yunbi. Bot lane, Morgana and Caitlyn. That is such an impressive lane to face off against. Sure, there's the trough that everyone always talks about with Caitlyn, but it's not as bad as it once was. It's only about that 1 to 2 items that you actually start having a lot more power. And look at this. Look at what Chime can do. It's pretty much negligent that they have this powerful bot lane of Kai'Sa Alistar because they can't even get near the minions.
Now, the one thing I fault Luger for, he started Q. That built over Peacemaker, not as strong as the traps.
Headshot, yeah.
Definitely like the traps a lot more.
That's usually the typical route that you want to go for with the Morgana Caitlyn, because the Dark Binding Cupcake Trap, man, that's a brutal combination to be able to really blow up someone and try to see if you can annihilate them. But it's already forced off Prismal and Chime, making sure that they're pinned down towards their turret and having to wait until the minions crash and actually going to be able to get anything. But this is actually kind of unfortunate for them. The minions, I think, were frozen just outside of turret range. It's going to make it a lot much harder for Prismal and Chime to step up.
So they're just going to be behind in CS. Hopefully Rosethorn can make the difference topside. I feel like there could be a cheese rotation coming in from the Hecarim, but he needs to make sure the lane is in position. Right now, Tenacity is just letting the lane crash into him. Nocturne does have early clear, and that's just going to happen. So it looks like Golden Gardens Academy, they don't have a good early jungle route unless there's some ridiculous play coming out of 100 Thieves Academy.
Well, the thing is, they're probably just going to power farm Rosethorn up to level 6, right?
Yeah.
Imagine the tag team of Rosethorn and Tally together. Oh, they can dive into the backline, Paranoia, Onslaught of Shadows combination. That's disgusting. And when you're a mobile like Luger, it's going to be something that they can really take advantage of to be able to try to get this bot lane that's going to be in a bad position for a while out of it.
And with that, Rosethorn just going to stay towards the top side. Tally coming in for the assist, just to make sure that there's no Kenvi assistance or interruptions to speak of, but nothing to worry about there. He was already on the bot side of the map, given the overwhelming pressure that Luger and Poom have been able to put down in the first 3 minutes of the game.
Sam, I forget who it was, but someone on a previous Proving Grounds broadcast talked about whether or not people in Runeterra eat scuttle crabs.
Yep.
And the thing is, we totally have proof of it, because if you look at Valorant, they have the scuttle crab shop. They eat scuttle crabs.
It's a delicacy. I assume it's one of those things with, you have many regions in Runeterra, right? So I imagine Noxus, absolutely. They munch down on that stuff. Bilgewater, 100%.
It's a crab. It probably tastes good.
Ionia? No. I don't think they do. I think in Ionia they are full-class citizens.
I think they eat crabs.
I don't know. Yeah, but it's a crab.
Yeah, of course they're going to eat the crab.
I don't know, man. I just feel like, Kennen is about the size of a scuttle crab. It'd be kind of rude if he ate one.
That's a huge meal for him.
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, good workout, but right now, we actually do get a counter push coming in from Prismal and Chime, but unfortunately, now that Poom's shown up back into the bot lane, it's going to make it so that they can At least if they didn't get that level 4 to be able to contest against Prismal. Oh, Tark Binding was able to sneak right through the minions. And look at that damage. Even with a level deficit, they're able to chunk at Prismal and force him away from the minions.
And that's just what you can do when you have easy access to that binding. When you have Morgana Caitlyn and against a melee support, you have so many options in order to do damage. Poom also almost denying the back, but not quite getting the positioning right. It's just so difficult for Golden Guardians Academy to get a start in this early game. And as you said, Magical, they're the ones on the timer. It's going to be so difficult if the timer starts going down because of dragons, which 100 Thieves Academy are starting to rack up.
But that's the thing, right? It's while they're on a timer, they still do have rough lanes that they have to contend with. They have to worry about the Orianna Seraphine handshake mid lane. They have to worry about the Caitlyn Morgana being able to bully around Kai'Sa Alistar bot lane. The only lane that's really going to have, at least until level 6, that priority is going to be top lane, with Tally constantly shoving in and wanting to be able to utilize that level 6 to rotate elsewhere.
They have options available, and you can see Chime already getting the early mid rotation. We'll be able to pick up that cannon. That's actually pretty huge, but otherwise doesn't get a whole lot out of it. Chime is just going to have to relegate himself, going to the bot side, helping out Prismal, and making sure Luger and Poom don't have free reign, which unfortunately, I don't know that he has much agency in that decision.
Neither do I. Just kind of seeing what they can be able to get themselves. I like this, that we're starting to get some of these recalls off for players. You get the Bramble Vest that was completed by, well, just Bramble Vest, but that's enough to be able to make it difficult for Tally to constantly push him in. He doesn't really want to fight, even though he has a bunch of those biscuits stored up. Not really the fight that you are looking for, right? You're not going to really try to kill a Scion. It's a Scion, even if it's early into the game. He's got good base damage. He's going to be fairly tanky with the shields, and if he times it right and he's able to get rid of your spell shield, he's going to be able to get a long knockup.
And that's one of those things you have to worry about when you're drafting, is whether or not you have mixed damage going in against a Scion. Because yes, you can have an early pick like Nocturne who can get damage down, but if you have an AD jungler as well, he can just build Bramble Vest and suddenly neither of those picks do anything. And you have to hope that Yunbi builds some damage or Prismal's able to get an early rotation. And usually that doesn't happen, Magical. I feel like more often than not, 100 Thieves Academy, in the situation they're in, do take away the early and mid game.
It's especially not going to happen when you have the Seraphine Orianna lane, right? It's not like you're going to be able to clear out just as even faster than Orianna to keep her shoved in. She can clear out the minion waves so fast herself, so you're not rotating around the map. You're not being able to impact these side lanes to tag team with Rose Thorn and Tally like you normally would want to. Instead, you're pinned down to the mid lane, waiting it out, waiting until finally you have that power where you have someone either overextend or Rose Thorn and Tally are able to tag team together to move into another lane.
It's going to take a while, though, just based on how long they've been in lane thus far and how little of a push they can get. Tally, however, has been pushing forward, and I feel like that's going to be the deal maker of this comp, is putting Tally, getting the gank onto Demonte along with Rose Thorn. And maybe that makes the difference. Maybe those early kills do add up, but for the moment, it feels like Golden Guardians Academy are just playing passive, and that's not what they should be doing.
Such a rough bot lane. That's the thing, isn't it, Sam? It's like they're playing passively. They're on a time limit, but what can you do here? You're constantly pushed in. You try to go for the headbutt pulverize, and then a black shield is hit there. So you got nothing onto Luger. He's just getting more damage onto Prismal, and they even have Kenby just in case they want to be able to set up a dive.
And maybe this was all set up by taking away the Orianna in the first pick, just making sure Yunbi has to go on something uncomfortable. And because you've already shifted that, comfort level for Golden Guardians Academy, that it just kind of tilts all the way off. And as you said, they're on a timer. They also can't play the early game particularly well because of the draft that they have. I'm not seeing the strengths yet, Magical.
Neither am I. I'm still kind of waiting it out, and I feel like there were other picks that they could have fallen back to. Like, I know that Yunbi's played Rise, and that's something that's actually been banned quite often against them. Something that they could go towards. I think that Twisted Fate was left open. There are some options, but I feel like they want to set up Prismal. This is someone we talked about so heavily before, and we've seen him in Academy do so well. You can see why they want to build a comp around him. Make sure that this Kai'Sa is going to be a hyper carry into the mid to late game. They're relying completely on his capabilities to be able to contend against Luger.
But all that's predicated on Rose Thorn being able to get a setup, and thus far, the lanes that he could have gone to, top and middle specifically, just haven't been able.
What are you doing here?
Wait,
why are you here?
Excuse?
Oh, okay. Headbutt pulverized Encore. Look at the damage on top of him. They have the Dark Binding not connecting into Black Shield, but First Blood is gifted over to Chime. TP Paranoia combination. Looking to see if they can join in on top. Right onto Boom's face. The Monte trying to be able to get away with all 5 members of Golden Guardians here. And this is the fight they wanted. It's a double kill for Tally.
I have questions again, Magical. I'm going to be perfectly honest. I don't know what Kenvi was doing that deep into the jungle, knowing that Chime was missing, knowing that Tally was roaming down. There's a lot of mistakes that 100 Thieves just made in that one instance. And Golden Guardians Academy, credit to them. They capitalized. They showed us what they can do with this composition. But it doesn't feel like they were the ones that necessarily made that play. They were the ones that reacted well. And they did react well, but it wasn't really their call to make.
Sometimes that's how it is. You got to be able to react perfectly. But yeah, why is Kenvi there? He gets bounced around for so long, and Kenvi's in the perfect position. It just makes no sense. And then everyone else trying to save Kenvi, they were trying to save Private Kenvi, get him out of there. It means that they put themselves in a bad position, so it's an easy follow-up coming in from Golden Guardians.
And I like Tally using the Paranoia and then teleporting in order to get the second part of Paranoia down. Definitely a smart move. It does also split up the team a lot more on the side of 100 Thieves Academy because, well, they can't really see. And therefore, Golden Guardians Academy were just able to walk on in, take every pick one at a time, and come out on top. So right now, they find themselves still at a gold deficit, but it's about even, and that's much better than it was a couple minutes ago.
Exactly. At least they're making sure they're staying even when it comes to these mid-game team fights. The skirmishes that they're going to try to set up for once more. They're waiting till that Paranoia and the Onslaught of Shadows are both off of cooldown. Same with Encore. Rinse and repeat, that kind of style. Now they actually have a lot more strength to be able to invade. Even if they are even on gold, where's all the gold, Sam? Where is it?
It's a good question, Magical. Right now, the gold...
I know where it is.
Do you?
You don't know where it is?
Find the gold.
It's bot lane.
Play along.
It's all in Luger.
It is.
So it means that Luger has to be a part of these, and this is the thing. We kind of talked about Caitlyn. She doesn't have as bad of a trough as she once had, but she still does have that trough. And if she's not going to be able to join in these fights, or though if they get the kill like that and gift it over the Luger, now you're getting them out of that trough.
Magical, I feel like we're seeing the Academy special again, and let me tell you, I'm excited about it. I love it. I love when the team is able to pull out from a mistake. It definitely shows improvement on both sides, but at the same time, gotta emphasize how that was a bit of an over-rotation coming in from Tally staying in the top side of the river when he really should have been thinking about maybe joining his team.
Had flash too. There was always the potential to be able to get out of there, but now with that kill given over to Luger top side, look at this lead that Luger has over Prismal, right? Look at the CS difference between the two of them.
True.
40 CS that separates the two ADCs, really where Golden Guardians want to be able to rely on Prismal to be that hyper carry into the late game if necessary. Well, it's going to take a long-ass time before this Kai'Sa is actually going to be useful.
Sure is, but you know, at the same time, Golden Guardians Academy do have a bright spot in Yunbi, who's actually stayed even on CS against Amante when we've seen this lane before, Magical, even today, and that lane did not go that way. The fact that Seraphine can keep an even lane, still farm up in Handshake, that's definitely putting them in a very nice spot because it means they can scale more into the mid game, get these fights off a little bit better, and maybe Yunbi can make a difference with that Encore.
Well, that is the thing, right? When you look at Seraphine and how she wants to be able to play, you need to be able to help out in any of these ganks. And that invade, getting 2 assists early on, gave a little bit more gold over to Yunbi to not feel quite so pressured against Amante.
And that lack of pressure means that Yunbi was able to just take an early back, get back into lane, not even use the teleport, and even with that, Moonstorm Renewer is completed, so the next team fight that happens, likely around the next Rift Herald, is going to be pretty impactful from the side of Golden Guardians Academy. They just need to use their teleports properly, and Tally needs to be in position.
Now, I do need to see them also getting better control of these objectives. You already have 2 dragons picked up by 100 Thieves. And like you said, probably going to be a fight around that Rift Herald, meaning that Golden Guardians have to grab that. They need to be able to get themselves some gold since a lot of that plate gold was put into the proper pockets of 100 Thieves. Luger's already gotten that Kraken Slayer completed.
I like that coming out of 100 Thieves Academy. I also like the vision that they've managed to put down. You can see bottom river as well as top river coming down to make sure Golden Guardians Academy have to go by vision in order to start an objective. So right now they're going to take this Rift Herald, they're going to spot out this control ward, but at the same time, that's time bought for 100 Thieves Academy. Might make the difference.
Just a little bit of difference. 100 Thieves Academy starting to rotate the players towards this Rift Herald pit, trying to see if they can get within range. They even had Tenacity kind of hovering around just in case he needed to be able to use that unstoppable onslaught to be able to dash his way all the way across to be able to join in before Tally's TP combination with that Paranoia can help out.
And with that, Prismal just gets more time to farm up in the top side. You can see how the lanes have been split up so far. Tenacity does have the teleport, Tally does not, and I think that does make an impact when it comes to this Rift Herald. You can see Prismal trying to push out the wave, but he's always going to be behind Luger, especially at this phase in the game. As you said, the Mythic has been finished, and it will, in fact, be hard to push against the Caitlyn at any point in the game, even if you are Kai'Sa. Pretty
much you're more going to be that tool for team fights. You're going to be there to help back up Tally diving into the backline. Same with Rose Thorn. Unbe's just there to be able to give a shield and a good encore and then job done out of the Seraphine. But unfortunately right now, we're not there yet. We're not there towards that good skirmishing, even wombo combo dive that Golden Guardians can set up for themselves, which means that 100 Thieves Academy with a bit of a lead here in the mid game had full control around the pit topside since they still have Luger and Poom hanging around trying to see if they can crack yet another tier 1 turret for themselves.
They're going to be able to get it. Kenvi is hovering around. I don't think he needs to use it in order to get the tier 2, but does have the Rift Herald for the tier 1. The tier 2 is available, and it's looking like...
You could use it.
Yeah, 100 Thieves Academy are just going to go for it. They're going to use the Rift Herald, but play being made.
Nice flash out of Damonte to make sure that he was not feared by Rosethorn towards Chime.
Definitely a great reaction coming out of Damonte, as you would expect from a very veteran mid laner, able to get a lot done, and making sure that the Golden Guardians are still just eating up their timer, still waiting on that big play to be made.
As right now, unfortunately, Unb is the one to try to answer this Rift Herald push, meaning that is going to be a secondary charge, and this time it's onto an inhibitor turret. While it will be a trade for that dragon, that is a lot of pressure that 100 Thieves Academy have now put on to Golden Guardians inside of their own base.
It's a big deal that it got lower than 2/3, means that tower is not going to heal up past about 1100 health, and that's going to be pretty easy to knock down should 100 Thieves Academy ever go back there, which I assume Tenacity is going to be hovering around that top side for a while more.
Yeah, but then again, it's also a Scion, right? Not really known for his split pushing, at least not when it's going the take route. You want that lethality Scion if you're going to be split pushing.
Well, I'm just a little sad we haven't really seen a whole lot of that in Academy, or in the Proving Grounds at the very least. I feel like, although it is a little cheesy, it has a lot of potential. It can get a lot done in the early game, and if you want to skirmish, man, can that thing skirmish.
I did watch it in one game where I got a cast where someone actually played Lethality Scion with Prowler's Claw. It was wild. It was so wild.
It's just so much damage that you don't expect, and once you kill him, that's not even the end of it. It gets worse.
Exactly. You just see him like either charge the turret and deal way too much damage to it, or he charges into the fight and does way too much damage.
And then he dies, and then he just beats you to death. There's nothing you can do about it.
No. But right now, we don't have to worry about that. It's just typical tank Scion. You know, as you can see from the items being completed, most mythics have been picked up by most of the players on both squads. Unfortunately, poor Prismal still working towards getting more gold in his pocket, still at that hole, and you can see how it's translated for Luger, having nearly a full item now over Prismal with this Caitlyn.
More than a full item. You can see the rapid fire cannon has been completed, as well as the Kraken Slayer, so it's looking pretty darn rough for the bot laners.
Yeah, I'm betting that Prismal has a lot of gold still in the pocket. Yeah. That's the only reason why I say it's at least a full item.
Yeah. I don't know how much Luger has. I assume he just recently backed in order to get that at around 18 minutes, but he is CSing incredibly well. Not quite as well as Damonte, but more than enough of a gap in order to make the difference in the next team fight, which Dragon should be spawning pretty soon.
No Dark Binding, no Black Shield. They have Paranoia.
Valley.
Luger's the target, and they've taken him down, giving the gold over to Prismal with a huge encore onto so many members of 100 Thieves Academy. They've ripped them apart with the flash.
Prismal.
It's a double kill for Prismal. Tenacity trying to be able to get away. He's slowed down. They can chase him if they want to. They got the turret. They've got the gold. Golden Guardians Academy have the fight.
The big difference in that fight, Magical. Damonte was nowhere near, did not have the teleport, wasn't in mid lane, instead decides to push the bot lane, and Golden Guardians Academy collapse at the perfect opportunity. They get 2 kills for their troubles, they don't lose anyone, and the turret goes down. Overall, this timer, I think, is starting to really tick off.
That it is, and we did talk about that. This is when Golden Guardians want to fight, and Luger is too far out. That was a nice flash combination. The Black Shield was way too late.
It was, and that's just the problem that you have when running against an Alistar. The damage is surprising. It's not enough to crack the Black Shield, but it is enough to do significant damage to it. And when you're against an AD threat like Nocturne, he's going to dive you regardless of what you do. And the Black Shield, not going to mean a thing.
Not at all. And now, even though the gold is even between the two squads, the fact that you have Prismal picking up 2 kills in that fight, no longer at quite so large of a deficit against Luger. You can see still about a half an item behind. But that is far better than being a full item.
Very true. And with that, at the very least, Golden Guardians Academy buy themselves a little bit more time, which they absolutely need. Dragon going to be coming up hopefully soon for the side of Golden Guardians Academy. They want to start earning these dragons, get towards that Ocean Soul, and maybe they'll be able to buy into a late game and get the skirmishes that they need.
As Golden Guardians are setting up a lot of vision control around this top half of the map. Nothing really to fight on the bottom half just yet.
Dragon's
not going to... I think it's going to spawn in a little bit, but now, Shockwave with some birds by Demonte, they've just got a nice dive.
And the split coming in from 100 Thieves Academy is not working out. There's always a member that's just off to the side, and whether Golden Guardians engage on the rest of the team or they engage on that side member, it seems to work out for them. They're finding these opportunities that 100 Thieves Academy are just leaving wide open.
But right now, we see that there is a bit of a problem, that even though they're getting these kills, they're not necessarily getting the plays to be able to get the objectives. A fight was attempted by Golden Guardians Academy in the mid lane. A lot of damage was thrown back onto that tier 1, forcing Golden Guardians Academy away, even though it seemed like they might have had the nice flank to be able to find the fight.
But now 100 Thieves, they're pushing up towards this mid side. We'll be able to get that. But looking at the replay of that pick on the top side, it's just rotating 2 members over. Demonte is not prepared without his flash, and he just falls victim to the 3v1 dive. UMB, even though he's not a damage carry per se, still has enough damage to take out the Orianna.
Exactly, and that's really all that is needed to be able to take away Demonte, the one that had TP, and Demonte having used that TP to try to be able to get into these side lanes and deny more gold going into the pockets of Golden Guardians Academy. But I still want to kind of reflect on that. Even though it is a nice dive out of Golden Guardians Academy, they're playing this typical chaotic style that we were applauding them for before. We need to see that translated into elsewhere, into more of these turrets, into more of these objectives. Having this Ocean Dragon that they could possibly fight over is a good start.
It's up, and look at both teams just circling around, trying to get positioning and vision. You can see 100 Thieves Academy are on the top side of the river. I feel like Golden Guardians using that bush will be able to make a lot more of a difference with the vision they've already accrued.
Chime is looking for this long flank. He is all the way by the red buff. Wants to be able to possibly use Blast Cone over the wall to be able to surprise 100 Thieves Academy. All the while, Tally himself, too, trying to keep 100 Thieves Academy focused on this Nocturne. Worried that that's going to be the play. But they got Rosethorn in the back line, and they followed it up to burst down Luger. That's gone. Gold is no longer there from the 100 Thieves Academy. Boom. Might be able to get the Soul Shackles, but has to flash away, leaving. Can be out to dry. That is 2 kills. Tenacity now going to be the next target, and immediately eviscerated with the Dragon in the pockets. Could be stolen away by the zombie form, but it's not. It's going to be the second Dragon secured with a huge fight for Golden Guardians Academy.
Another big play coming in from Golden Guardians Academy. They capitalize on the split coming in from 100 Thieves. They couldn't take the initiative. They didn't use Tenacity to go in. Instead, Golden Guardians Academy used the Paranoia. They're able to get Chime into the back line, and Prismal just pumping damage the entire time means 100 Thieves Academy go down 1 by 1, lose objectives, and might lose Baron for that, Magical.
Oh, they definitely lose the Baron for this. And this is what I was saying before about Golden Guardians Academy, is their skirmish and their teamfight potential is really good. And when they can dive together, you saw that work out in that fight. Prismal and Tally, both of them immediately aim for Luger.
They just have good positioning at the start of the fight. 100 Thieves Academy, they don't know where to go. They see Rosethorn on the top side, they see Tally, but they don't know which way. You could see the directions being turned by Tenacity. He can't ult using the Unstoppable Onslaught. He has to wait until the rest of the team collapses. In Golden Guardians Academy, they find the picks they need, and they all focus on the same target. This is the team fighting that I love. I questioned Draft Magical. It seems to be working out pretty darn well for Golden Guardians so far.
Boom, unfortunately, also using the stopwatch to try to dodge away from Rosethorn means that Luger, the actual target, was completely left alone and afraid in the dark.
Not a whole lot you can do, unfortunately.
No, you can't. And now it's a 2,000 gold lead for Golden Guardians Academy.
This is just the lead that you get when you win team fight after team fight. Now with 2 Ocean Dragons under their belt and Baron as well, they're able to push up the side lanes, they're able to push up the mid lane, and they might just be able to crack open a couple more turrets, which would help them out a lot. They're at a gold advantage for the first time in the entire game for Golden Guardians Academy, and I feel like they're going to just keep pushing that until they can't anymore. And 100 Thieves Academy, they're just trying to wait. I think that they can still wait. They still have a team fight available. They just need to get the good engage, because with Tenacity, you have so many avenues for getting that good engage.
I feel like it's going to be hard. Even if you do have that perfect team fight, you need Poom to be able to only get the Black Shield on the Luger. As long as you can do that, Luger is going to stay safe for a while. There's only a couple... Actually, there's only really one, and that's going to be Yunbi, who can crack through that Black Shield so easily. And as long as you have Luger way far behind, you don't have to worry about the CC that can be layered on top of Luger and make it difficult. Look at the damage that comes in from Luger when alive. You need to keep this Caitlyn in the fight.
He's going to be able to do a lot of damage, but that's just harass damage. In a team fight, it's so difficult to go against the amount of divers that Golden Gardens Academy have provided. Not only Chime, Rosethorn, and Tally, but Prismal diving into the backline is going to make such a difference, and keeping Luger alive during that, proven to be a very tall task.
And with this, Golden Guardians Academy, slowly but surely, are pushing their advantage onto these objectives like we were asking of them. Not only was it the dragon beforehand, but now these turrets, after they have gotten themselves this Baron, means that they're going to get more gold, more advantages, and continue to be able to push back 100 Thieves Academy, so they are not the ones to be able to secure some of these important upcoming objectives.
It's going to be difficult, but still not impossible. Golden Gardens Academy, they have the lead. They're able to get some more turrets under their belt. And like I said, they're just delaying the timer as much as humanly possible. And maybe even, if they get a good enough team fight around the base of 100 Thieves Academy, might be able to push in for something more.
As another turret falls, it's the fourth one picked up by Golden Guardians Academy. Means that they are well and truly in this lead. 4,000 gold that they've been able to balloon off of that Baron and off of that last team fight. On the side of 100 Thieves Academy, they still do have those options. They still do have really good team fight capabilities when working together. But we need to see them be able to have that all work in tandem with one another. It's not been so easy, especially because the whole idea of Golden Guardians composition was to divide and conquer.
And it's so difficult to do that against the likes of Tally, who's, instead of split pushing, been with the team. Damonte shows himself, not a lot happens.
I thought Damonte was like level 12 for some reason. I just misread that. I was like, whoa, there's a 4-level discrepancy here. I'm like, okay, never mind. Misread that.
That would have to be Poom and Tally, who have currently a 5-level discrepancy, but about what you'd expect support versus top laner.
Exactly. Not too out of the ordinary. But right now it has slowed down just a bit. Oh no, Luger, you are far away here.
Tally.
Paranoia used on top. Tally's going to die, but actually he's going to revive with the help of that Guardian's Angel. They've got so many here. They've taken him down. Rosethorn going to be able to get the fear, but nobody else is there. They can follow up on a Luger. They've got so many roots flashed away from the Encore, and they're making sure that Luger is safe. That's the important thing. Doesn't matter if Poom's died, as long as they can get this damage constantly coming in from the ADC, Tenacity, and Kenpy. Finally, they're going to be able to get the kill with the Killer Instinct. Triple kill. Flash in. Damonte. It's a double knock-up as well. They've taken him down, and it's finally the ace with a quadra kill on top of it.
But Prismal does go down at the end of that play, which might mean this doesn't end the game, Magical. It's going to be close, but I do believe Golden Gardens Academy are going to be able to get an objective off of this, maybe an inhibitor.
Should be able to keep pushing it, but you're right. I don't think that is exactly the end of the game. They don't have that Kaisa available. She did die in the fight, so they're having to peel back up, spend a lot of the gold they've gotten for themselves, but they keep winning these fights. They keep dividing, and unfortunately, even though Luger was relatively untouched throughout that fight, it just isn't enough.
Yeah, we keep talking about the trough being a lot less than it was. Well, unfortunately, he's in the trough about now. Luger just can't find the damage without a finished Lord Dominic's Revenge or any other armor-piercing items. The beef coming in from Golden Gardens Academy is too much, and it feels like Damonte, usually the focus. We can take a look at the replay right here. Tally, he's caught out. Just flat out dies. The 5-man coming in from the side of Golden Gardens Academy, or from 100 Thieves Academy, excuse me. And from there, it's just chaos. It's pure chaos, Magical. Damonte's basically out of the fight because he's down to 200 health, and it's free reign for Yumbi and Prismal, who can just continuously change targets, go to the members that are low, and take out who they need to.
Well, and that's the idea, right? Look at Seraphine shielding Prismal constantly over and over again, so even though you had that focus onto Prismal, there's so much health being drawn back in and so many shields being given over to Prismal to keep him alive for way too long.
It was still big that they took out Prismal, though, at the end of that fight. It meant the game couldn't end. And Luger's still putting out damage. He just doesn't have enough damage. And at this point in the game, that's just not acceptable.
Not at all. Like you said, needs that Lord Dominic's regards to be able to cut through at least Rosethorn. Rosethorn's gotten to that point where he's tanky enough, especially with that Randuin's Omen, to not worry about Luger's damage quite as much, and it gives plenty of time for Prismal to be able to show up, Killer Instinct into the backline to take down any target that they want to.
It's just a lot to deal with right now. Golden Guardians Academy, they even showed that they can buy time forever. Tally, it took, what, 10 seconds to kill him?
Black Shield again gets the fear this time around, and Luger, they're trying to jump on top. They finally take him down with a paranoia to be able to help out. Tally gets bounced around for a little bit of time, but it doesn't really matter, especially because Prismal has been able to get so much free damage throughout this fight. Shockwave only dragged back in.
Rosethorn,
double knock up coming in, and B's taken down by Tally. And with the heals from Yunbi, yet again, they make a dive happen and immediately can turn to Baron.
And the one problem I had with 100 Thieves draft in the beginning, Magical, starting with the Orianna. The Shockwaves are coming in. They're not hitting more than one member. It's only Rosethorn, and Yunbi is able to heal that up all the way. The pick potential coming out of Golden Guardians Academy's draft, stunning at this point. Luger can never stay alive. Kenvi goes down as well in that fight. And man, 100 Thieves Academy have been routed by this red side.
That they have, especially since it's so unfortunate that against them, they have to deal with a tripled up Ocean Dragon from Golden Guardians. That is so much healing on top of the healing they're already getting from Yunbi that they could constantly keep these fights lasting way longer than have any right to be.
It's just so difficult, right? You're Golden Guardians Academy, and you have everything that you need. You have positioning, you have dive, you have heals, you have tanks. Somehow Nocturne's able to stay alive versus the team of 100 Thieves Academy. So what is the option here, Magical? Well, you keep putting your eggs into the Luger basket, but unfortunately, it's way past Easter, and those eggs are going bad.
That they are, and I'm waiting to see if Luger's able to finish that Lord Dominix right now. Doesn't
Not quite.
look like it. Instead, going for the Infinity Edge, a little bit more crit. But like I said, Rosethorn with that Randuin's Omen, making it so that's kind of useless. Not really going to take nearly as much damage, so Luger just waiting it out, trying to see if they can continue to hold out hope and hold out to any kind of prayer against Golden Guardians Academy, who have a Baron buff and can keep 100 Thieves Academy pushed back into their base with this huge minion wave in the bot side. It's calling over all the members of 100 Thieves Academy, so now Golden Guardians just rotate towards mid.
It's just such an easy play at this point for Golden Guardians. They have the Baron, they have the waves, they have the pressure, they have the dive potential as well, so there's not really a defense that can come out.
They're looking to see if they can dive into the backline yet again from Tally. They've already lost Boom, but Tally takes a little bit of damage, flashes away to be able to survive. They got the fear onto Luger, dodging him back in as well. And now with no carries left, only Damonte left. They have to see if they can get anything back, but I don't think they can. The minions are already there. 100 Thieves Academy pushed back into their fountain once more here, trying to defend, but they can't. Golden Guardians Academy gonna come out strong here. Game number 1, even with a huge shockwave from Damonte, it doesn't matter because the game is over.
Magical, I'd like to take back some words that I said about Golden Guardians Academy's draft. It was pretty good. As it turns out, when you find the opportunities that you need and you play extremely well, that Nocturne top really did make a huge difference, and I feel like Tally played it exceptionally well. A very good game out of Golden Guardians Academy.
Well, there was a timer on that Nocturne, and he was able to make sure that they got those early kills for the Nocturne in exactly the right position, where they constantly then could use Tally, use Rosethorn to dive and disrupt the backline. Even though Prismal was so far behind for so long, it didn't matter. All they needed to do was make sure they could hold on long enough for Prismal to be able to join into those team fights and get enough gold from the kills.
It really was just the whole dive composition coming in from the side of Golden Guardians. Yes, you had 4 divers, but at the same time, the Seraphine was really the glue that held everything together, able to heal up those people that got really low. You saw Tally going down very, very low at times. You saw Rosethorn going low at times. And Luger just had nothing he could do the entire time. You saw Damonte struggling to find a good shockwave the entire game. And the engage coming in from the top side, well, Tenacity never had an option.
Well, and that's the problem with having a typical front-to-back team fight composition against a composition that wants to dive. Well, if you have the tanks in the front line and they've actually just completely circumvented that to be able to get to Luger, Luger's left alone. Nobody's defending him. Or they turn on to Damonte, and Damonte's left alone. Your carries now are completely defenseless.
It was just so tough for 100 Thieves Academy to keep Luger alive. They drafted this Morgana, which in essence should have kept him alive a lot longer, but unfortunately, there was so much ability to just go in onto the backline. There wasn't a force that could stop them. Yes, you had the unstoppable onslaught from Sion, but what does that really get you? That only buys maybe a second or two. It's not considered peel, and the Black Shield, well, we saw what happened with that.
That we did, and game number 1 goes over to Golden Guardians Academy. They continue their domination in the lower bracket. They will refuse to lose as long as humanly possible, trying to get one step closer to being able to get into the loser semifinals. But we're going to toss it a break. We'll come right back to be able to get our second game of this second series between 100 Thieves Academy and Golden Guardians Academy.
Verizon believes everyone deserves the best. That's why we start with 5G from America's most reliable network.
Verizon 5G is next level.
Then give families plans to mix and match, so you only pay for what you need starting at $35.
You get so much more than just a great network.
And offer the best in entertainment on select unlimited plans like Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN Plus, as well as Discovery Plus, with a Galaxy S21 Plus 5G when you buy one. There's no reason to settle for less than the best. Only from Verizon.
Welcome back into the Proving Grounds. We're getting ready for our second game in our second series of 100 Thieves Academy, Golden Guardians Academy. That first game, Sam, you were wrong about the comp.
I was wrong.
Much stronger. I mean, then again, it was on that timer. They did have that one limit, and they were able to make sure that they got the job done before the timer had commenced.
And it all started with this one pick onto Kenvi. Why was he in the jungle? Where was he in the jungle? I don't know. But they got 3 kills out of it, and Golden Guardians Academy continued their reign of terror across the map, just able to find pick after pick and fight after fight. And I gotta say, a lot of it was on the back of Tally, who just had these incredible paranoias that split up the team, and there wasn't a whole lot that 100 Thieves Academy had in response.
No, but also, let's praise Chime a little bit on that, too, because Chime was definitely on point with that Alistar performance, constantly being able to follow up Tally, Rose, Thorn, Prismal to make sure that they can set up some of these fights.
He definitely followed up on the Goon Squad and was able to make a huge difference in separating out the team. I gotta feel like 100 Thieves Academy are gonna question, though, the Hecarim not being picked first, because that was something that came in, them being blue side, was they took the Orianna first pick, and honestly, it didn't make that much of a difference in the game. Yes, it was a takeaway from Yunbi, but you still feel like Hecarim is a much stronger first just to deny this sort of composition.
Exactly. That was the big question mark that I had going into that one, is trying to grab that Orianna for Demonte so quickly, and it pretty much meant that from there's just this easy setup of a composition that was drafted by Golden Guardians. I think you take that Hecarim out, that composition does not function as well as it did in that game. You make it so that instead it's Kenvi playing Hecarim, boom. You make it so that it's a lot easier to be able to dive, disrupt the backline, and even don't have to worry about your own backline being disrupted quite as easily, because Tally doesn't have that follow-up of Rose Thorn on Hecarim. It's
definitely something to think about. They have 100 Thieves Academy has locked in blue side for the second match, and if I may throw out a stat here, Magical, Golden Guardians Academy throughout the entirety of Proving Grounds have never played blue side. They have always been red side. Look it up.
Yes,
it's crazy, and they're on quite a tear, if I do say so myself.
Yeah, through this Proving Grounds, they have been red side every single game. I find that a little hysterical, because you'd think that eventually someone would just be like, no, we're going to choose red side against them, put them on blue side. But it's just constantly everyone keeps, either they choose red side or the opponent chooses blue side, and it's letting them have exactly what they want, what they're most comfortable with.
Maybe Spooks is just onto something that the other coaches have not quite figured out, that red side is in fact incredibly dominant right now. And especially with 100 Thieves Academy locking in the blue side for this match, you have to feel like there's a paradigm going on between most of the teams that say, yes, we want the Hecarim, or yes, we want the Tristana. Whatever that first pick priority is, we need that more than we need the counter pick.
Exactly. I kind of am going to look at how 100 Thieves Academy are going to approach this draft a little bit more with this more of a magnifying approach, really try to pick apart what they're doing, because I feel like a lot of their composition was pretty well drafted, despite the fact that that Orianna first pick did leave them at a hole immediately. It made it so, and honestly, Kaisa or Hecarim, I think, would have been far better options as opposed to going for the Orianna. Just, even though Demonte does like to play that, it's something that they need to be able to approach, not really putting themselves at that spot where they have to worry about 2 really strong picks going over to the other hands.
It was just a lot of dive that came in from the side of Golden Guardians Academy. You'd think it'd be predicated purely off the Hecarim, but even the Alistar, the Kaisa, all the options that Golden Guardians picked just complemented each other so well. And although I gave so much trouble to Tally in the beginning, he shut me up. He shut me up hard with that Nocturne pick. That Bruiser Nocturne just proving once again, this isn't the first time it's been played. I think I've seen it in the LEC as well as the LCS. It's a strong pick, and especially with dive buddies, man, oh man, does that comp really shine.
Exactly, and that's the whole idea of why you want to be able to draft that, because I was almost thinking that Set would have been a great pick in that too, that Scion. I like seeing Set into a lot of these tanks because he beats them in lane, but also can provide so much for the team. Tally, you really didn't need that because he had the setup of all these dive tools to be able to follow up those paranoias. And one thing that I even forget about until I see it is that combination of using paranoia, immediately TPing after that one, because it makes sure that if your opponent top laner's top side, they can't TP immediately. It's going to be a while till they join in.
And even with the Scion, with the Unstoppable Onslaught, there was just no way to use that. There was too much time lag in between the start of that ability and maybe losing 2 or 3 teammates. It's just such a trade-off that values that, Tally takes. It's like the trade offer meme where, I get 3 kills, you get 3 deaths. And you would say, no, I don't want that trade. But you know what? Golden Guardian's giving it to you anyway.
Exactly. And looking at the other lanes, not just looking at the top lane, I kind of want to see what we're going to have drafted for Yunbi this time around. That Seraphine, it was all right. It did its job into the early game, but it was the late game where it really started to shine through. And that's pretty much why you draft that Seraphine, to be that support for Kaisa, to make sure that Kaisa now functions as a hyper carry.
And there's definitely a lot that can be said about Prismal's play in the last game. He was able to be super aggressive, but even in the early game, you saw how much he was struggling, and I think that just goes to show how strong Luger is as a player, and especially in the Morgana Caitlyn lane, was able to play that so well. He just didn't have the answers to a dive comp that was able to send 4 people after him in any given team comp at any time. And if he continues to play that well, then all he needs is for one other carry, possibly Demonte, possibly Tenacity, possibly Kenby, to pop off as well, and maybe this 100 Thieves Academy team gets something rolling.
And that's what we have to look at, is who do they want to be able to go towards besides Luger? Because Luger did great in the laning phase on this Caitlyn, the PvE style that everyone talks about with Caitlyn. But once it got into the team fights, even with that lead, it just wasn't enough because everyone could dive on top of them. Make sure that there's no way that Caitlyn was going to be able to dish out the damage necessary. So as we jump into Champions Select Tier, we'll have to see what changes. So far, not really getting anything, but it's only the first 2 bans.
I'm more excited about the first pick than I am about anything else. If that Orianna goes through, I will think that 100 Thieves Academy is learned nothing. But here's the change. No Nocturne. Tally, nuh-uh, not again.
Saying that was really well done, Tally. We do not want to have to face that again, making sure to get rid of that. But that means that we will see at least a little bit of a change coming in from the side of 100 Thieves Academy, Tristana or Rel. Well, I want to see which one they opt for. It's actually neither. Banning that Seraphine from Yunbi.
And that does leave the standard lanes up for Prismal and Shime. I imagine they're going to be taking that away at the first pick phase for them. 100 Thieves Academy, let's see what they've learned.
That's like, I'm kind of waiting on bated breath here. What they want to be able to grab for themselves, because I think this is the most important pick for 100 Thieves Academy. There you go. That's what we wanted to see last time. And
how about that?
Do grab that, but it is probably going to be Orianna Kaisa grabbed by Golden Guardians.
And with that, Orianna going to be locked in for Yunbi. Definitely a strong pick for him. And there's a reason that they took it away. I understand the need to not let Yunbi have his most comfortable champion. At the same time, Demonte now has free reign over the counter pick. So this is really in his favor. And he has a champion Ocean, as we've seen from both Academy and the LCS.
Exactly. And that's why it was such an unusual first pick coming from them. I know that they want to make sure that they don't have to worry about Yunbi getting that into the mid lane, but there's so many different picks that they can now grab for themselves. This Kaisa, since it was Rel opted for as opposed to going for the Kaisa, probably going to be Kaisa Alistar. I'd imagine that that's what they want to grab right here, since if they don't grab the Alistar, it will be banned next time. Pretty standard.
Yep, just paint by numbers when it comes to these team comps so far. Nothing too spicy yet, but Golden Guardians Academy are also going to lock in the Udyr, so still keeping to the mild, the Mayo, as it were, of team comps, and they're going to be thinking about what they want to ban away. I assume they target Tenacity here, just to make sure that Tally has the best possible matchup. I feel like prioritizing him is going to be more important than trying to take away a good AD.
Exactly, because I don't think you're going to be able to ban away Demonte fully. He's got so many different champions that he can pull out of left field and say that he wants to be able to go for this, but taking away some of the more typical things. So getting rid of Victor, something that does not like counters Orianna, but just it's the handshake mid lane of being able to clear, as well as having great scaling that he's able to provide for the team with immense amounts of damage.
And I like the idea of targeting away Prismal, if only because when you have this much engaged, you want to make sure the safe ADs are at least down to something like an Ezreal, which is a subpar in this current meta. It's still strong, it's just not optimal. So Tristana going to be the second ban away, and Prismal really has to think about what he wants along with this Rel. Might go for something risky. I feel like that wouldn't be out of the question, but really do have to think about the dive that can come in from 100 Thieves Academy.
I'm thinking, Samira. Okay. We don't see too much Samira nowadays, especially since, what was it, 11-3 when she saw that massive nerf and really took her out of any kind of conversation. But it's not like a good player can't play her still. You just don't have as much mobility as you once had.
And this also allows a few different options for the playstyle of Golden Guardians Academy. You can send in Rosethorn if you have a second engage. So you do have Chime playing in on this rel. The Aatrox is fine. I definitely like the lifesteal that can come out. Don't hover that. That's not it.
Okay,
but
Chime's doing that because that's
laner,
where Chime's name comes from. He's got to do it.
Yeah, that ain't it. But Tally going to lock in the tried and true Gangplank. Feels like that rounds out the comp pretty nicely. Going to be relatively low range, but not necessarily a fault against a team that's so front to back in 100 Thieves Academy.
Exactly. It works pretty well for them, and the fact that having that Gangplank, being able to zone out a lot of that, the fights that are going to happen in tight corridors using that cannon barrage is going to make things a lot easier, especially because they're probably going to want to try to get rid of Damonte. We actually see that 100 Thieves Academy themselves have drafted what was a very pretty much the exact identity of Golden Guardians last time around. A lot of dive potential. Even if they do have a little bit, I wouldn't even say a little bit more. They have a slight bit more of that front to back team fight they can fall back to. They still can use this Volibear to dive into the back line, Hecarim to be able to follow the sort with an Alistar and a Kai'Sa, and as long as Syndra's able to use that Scatter of the Weak, it's all that's necessary.
And there's really a lot of options when it comes to disengaging coming in from 100 Thieves Academy. I feel like Golden Guardians Academy need to really pick their engages smartly, as opposed to last time when you did have these different options coming in from Tally specifically on the Nocturne. Now, you only have run in at them. That's your only option right now. Yes, you can use the Cannon Barrage to slow down the enemy team. You have Chime available on the rel, but it's not the same as diving in with 4 members. No. You have to really figure out your engages, time them well, and perhaps even look for the counter engages more often than not. I feel like this is on a reactionary game for Golden Guardians Academy and a proactive game for 100 Thieves Academy.
And this is why I like the Syndra pick here. A lot of people might flame me for liking the Syndra pick into this composition, but the fact that it does stop a lot of what Golden Guardians Academy want to be able to do, which is, like you said, run at them. Good Scatter of the Weak is all that's really necessary. Before, we saw that Yunbi on that Seraphine had a very similar thing that he was able to accomplish with Encore. Well, now you have that on not quite as long of a cooldown. All you have to do is wait a couple of seconds, and you're going to be able to constantly get these Scatter of the Weaks in the late game.
It's going to be tough, but it is still possible in order to make this pick work. I feel like Damonte and Yunbi is going to be slightly favored to Damonte, if only because Syndra does have a slightly advantageous matchup into the Orianna early on. But as the game goes on, it's pretty much a wash between these two mid laners. It's all about how they follow up on the dives that come in from the respective junglers and supports.
Exactly, but you know what? They got their backs against the wall, 100 Thieves do. They've got to be able to win this game, force a third game if they want to continue their hopes in the Proving Grounds. The 3rd seed. They want to be able to show why they were able to earn that title against Golden Guardians Academy, who have battled back and are on this massive win streak.
And Golden Guardians Academy, they're playing towards the bot side, trying for something a little cheeky, but unfortunately for them, 100 Thieves Academy nowhere to be found. Instead, opting to stay towards the tri-bush and keep themselves safe. Luger on this Kai'Sa, gonna be a huge question as to whether or not 100 Thieves Academy can win this game, because his Caitlyn was great. His Kai'Sa is already been demonstrated to be very good. The question is, can it work against Golden Guardians Academy in this game?
That's gonna be difficult. I like this. You know, the more I think about it, the more I actually like this Samira pick from Prismal.
Yeah.
It stops a lot of what Damonte and Luger want to be able to do, as long as you're able to use that slash around to be able to deny the projectiles from entering in. That it can be something that they can use to stop 100 Thieves from stopping them from pressing their attack.
And what I'm most looking forward to is Prismal versus Kenvi, because there is a skill matchup involved there where Prismal can dash through Kenvi in order to avoid the stomp coming in, the E from Hecarim, from pushing him back into the team. It's all about timing, and Kenvi has to time himself correctly, otherwise Prismal gets out. Wait, heal goes down already for Prismal?
I'm a bit baffled by
Oh.
that. Huh.
Okay, well, it looks like a play from Poom managed to work out and get a summoner spell already in the first 2 minutes of the game.
Or it could have been a misclick. Or it could have been what I like to do, which is leapfrog, where I use my flash in lane over my support. Or I'm the support, over my ADC.
Sure. I mean, you could do that. Kind of unusual for Prismal to use a summoner spell so early. Unorthodox? Not out of the question, but again, leads to an early lead for 100 Thieves Academy bot lane. Able to do so much and zone completely the bot lane of Golden Guardians Academy out.
That's what happens, unfortunately, now that that heal is gone. Even though you do have the flash. You want to stay safe. Scatter the Wake connects. Looking for the flash on the Envy. We'll be able to get that. So they're going to be able to have the drive-by Ghost trade for flash. Much lower cooldown on that Ghost, so they're going to be able to get that back up pretty fast.
Good trade for 100 Thieves Academy, able to get the early gank, and that's sort of the cheekiness that I was looking for Kenvi out of last game, but the lanes just weren't in position in order to make that work. In that instance, this time, gets Unbeast Flash, and he's going to be vulnerable for the next 5 minutes, Magical. Expect him to come back.
Oh, for sure, he is. Going to make sure that this Orianna not going to have a fun time in this mid lane. I've seen this before, especially since you got Coach Golden Glue over there on 100 Thieves Academy. I remember back when it was the Swole Bros for Cloud9 and they were able to utilize that. But now bot lane, nice flash stun on a Poom with the heal, trying to keep him alive, trying to get a little bit of damage so Kenvi can show up. But Rosethorn, there's a split
Teleport.
fight. TP behind. They've already got first blood, but now they have to be able to escape. They could attempt to die. They're going to be able to get the kill for Demonte in a trade of 1-for-1.
A good teleport coming in from Demonte just to seal up the kill, but a very nice flash bear slap from Rosethorn to seal that one up. Luger does manage to stay alive the entire time, burns both his summoner spells though, and therefore makes himself a pretty easy target if this gank ever happens again. Looking at the replay real quick, just Chime going in, getting the perfect engage, and Rosethorn following up beautifully. Prismal as well, just kind of dealing damage as ADs do.
It was a little split there, though, from Golden Guardians. Rosethorn wanted to be able to scare off Luger, but by doing so, it meant that they had overextended. They weren't able to get the kill on the Poom fast enough to then be able to retreat, meaning it was really easy for Demonte, that full channel on the TP. And in that kind of position, normally, you'd imagine that the person TPing there would be punished, but they couldn't. They're way too far extended, so they had to trade the life. And I actually am wondering if Demonte was able to get double buffs off of that, getting the kill onto Rosethorn.
I think he might have been able to. We'll have to take a look over there real quick, but Rosethorn going down and also losing Flash means his early engages are going to be pretty limited, and especially in lanes where... Yeah, that's big for Demonte. An early blue buff and especially an early red buff means he's going to be able to harass forever against a flashless EMB.
Rosethorn's like, give me it back! I want him back, please! Anything. But it's against a Syndra who's underneath the turret. You're just going to stay safe, stay far away. You don't have Shockwave yet available for Genbi to be able to help that out at all. Instead, you're going to have to back out, try to get a little bit of vision control. I do like this because it stops Poom from being able to try to rotate around, and Chime, he himself, also rotating around, trying to get these supports that want to not really be in the bot lane, be elsewhere completely on the map.
And this is the Rosethorn that I wanted to see all of regular season, but has been showing up a lot in the Proving Grounds. Just able to get early vision and get the early plays with Chime. And the synergy that's been built up over the last month or so has been so impressive out of Golden Guardians Academy that, honestly, I think they might be a force to be reckoned with, especially when they have the early lead like this.
For sure. This is a team that has been able to spend a lot of time together and had to work their way back through a lot of the Tier 1 tournaments. And with that experience that they were able to get themselves throughout the entire the entire month pretty much of both February and March, it really has helped them out to figure out how to play better as one squad.
And as we talk about how they've been playing as one squad, Kenvi takes one dragon.
He wants to get there. Oh, there he is. Going to be able to get the bear slap. Try to get the movement speed. And wow! Phoenix form. That was a lot of damage.
Phoenix stance, don't joke around. The flaming chicken punch was more than enough to deal with Kenvi, who was down to about 400 health, and the backup from Yunbi. Definitely great to see Golden Guardians Academy find themselves another kill, but lose out on the objective.
Sam, I just gotta say, I'm a little disappointed you didn't say it was the spicy chicken.
I could have said that, Magical.
Yeah, you could have said that, and I don't think you thought of that until just now. I heard you say flaming chicken, I'm like, I think you should have said spicy chicken. Right now, is that spicy chicken form? Trying to be able to steal away some of the Krugs, but Kenvi is able to show back up, respawn. Rosethorn, you've overcommitted a bit here. They have reinforcements to knock back in with the devastating charge, but they don't have the Monte rotating. Nice flash from Poom to make sure he cannot escape.
And they give the kill over to Kenvi, definitely the ideal target of the two. Kenvi, or Rosethorn, I should say, pulling a Kenvi from last game, just overextending in the jungle. Hopefully it will not lead to too much of an advantage if you're a Golden Guardians Academy fan, but that's still a loss of momentum that really didn't need to go over. 100 Thieves Academy find and capitalize on what was a pretty clear mistake.
With that mistake means that there is going to be a bit of time that 100 Thieves Academy can get control around the map, getting the Scuttlecraft top side of the map. Tenacity is pretty overextended in this top lane, could be punished by Rosethorn, but it is hard for him to be able to get there. You can see now that they've got that Scuttle Crab, there is going to be that ward outside of the Tri-Bush that will spot out any sort of rotation. And with an ultimate from Volibear, he should be able to escape every time.
And right now, Volibear going in. Tenacity getting damage.
A little bit of damage, but that Parlay Trial by Fire passive as well. Going to do a lot of damage over to Tenacity. He's not going to be able to utilize the heal that he can get from the W. Instead, he's got to be careful. He might have to force out an ult just to be able to get that health needed to survive. Rosethorn could even set up a dive.
Instead, they're going to go for the Rift Herald, and I think this is the more conservative play.
I don't
Definitely
know.
the right one for a
I don't
flashless.
know. Look at this. Yunbi, he's already back. No TP. There's going to be the blast cone of the wall. They're a bit overextended. They saw that Kenby had dodged into the brush. But Demonte, he could have easily rotated up, and that could have made it really difficult for Golden Guardians Academy. I actually think that is the right call to be able to peel off that just in case. Well, bot lane has a bit of a 2v2 scuttle happening. Trying to see if he can get the stun on it to Prismal. He's trying to dash back in. Gets a little bit of damage,
trigger.
but there it
It is.
Got the Lotus they need to follow up on top of Luger. Trying to be able to get away, but he just can't. It's going to be 2 kills to the side of Golden Guardians Academy.
Prismal leveled up in the middle of that kill. Definitely a great timing for him to level up and immediately turn on that Infernal trigger. Great play coming out of Golden Guardians Academy. And with that 100 Thieves Academy, they're going to have to fight back here.
Ooh, flash away from Yunbi to try to get away from Tenacity. Shockwave flash by Tenacity himself with the Stormbringer to take down the kill on top of Yunbi. They even got a double kill in for Tenacity.
Tenacity showing up this game, definitely proving that he is the big bear, able to get 2 kills in that play, and a good response out of 100 Thieves Academy after losing the bot lane, committing all of their summoner spells and everything they have in order to get an advantage for Tenacity.
With this advantage, it's going to make this lane a lot more difficult for Tally once Tenacity does recall and spend some of that gold he was able to get. In fact, with a Rift Herald 2 in the pocket of Kenby, there's so much that 100 Thieves Academy can now think for themselves. What play they want to be able to make. Even though the 2v2 did not go well in the bot lane, it doesn't matter because the top lane was so perfect to be able to set them up.
But now you have to worry if you're 100 Thieves Academy about Prismal, who's now starting to pop off a little bit. 2-0-1 on Samira is exactly where you want to be on that Slayer character. Very tough if he gets that early, I believe that's an Immortal Shield Bow coming out. Likely going to get it before Luger gets his Mythic.
Makes sense to go for the Immortal Shield Bow. We don't see it too often on too many champions, but since Samira wants to be able to dive in, want to be able to survive a little bit longer, and I think you do get the lifesteal off that Inferno trigger as well. But right now, 100 Thieves Academy want to be able to set up around this dragon. They didn't get themselves a Scuttle Crab because Chime was able to rotate first. They had to worry about that. Now Yunbi, he's in trouble. He's feared away, and they got the kill for Kenvi.
And that was the return on No Flash. It may have taken about 8 minutes, but you know, Kenvi always finds his mark. He was able to just get in there, use that very quick onslaught of shadows, dragon coming up in a minute, and the Rift Herald popped.
Nice.
This is looking all the way 100 Thieves Academy.
More gold into the pockets of Demonte, trying to make sure the Syndra is going to be able to use the outplay button very wisely. Probably going to be able to delete someone soon enough once probably the Luden's Echo is completed, getting that magic penetration to deny any sort of resistances that Golden Guardians might be able to get to stop them.
It's going to be tough, but Golden Guardians Academy are starting up the dragon. So even
Nice
after
call.
all the pressure 100 Thieves were able to put down, they did, in fact, try to go towards the top side and also send Demonte back, so the pressure was gone, leaving Rosethorn with a free Infernal.
That's a smart move coming in from the side of 100 Thieves. They wanted to be able to see if they can look for a dive on Tally to be able to punish this Gangplank, but at least before he was able to get Cannon Barrage, but unfortunately, they just weren't able to have that executed in time with the minions, so now Tally has that Cannon Barrage. It's a lot more difficult to actually be able to execute on this dive to get Tenacity to constantly be able to bully around this Gangplank, and now Chime's even been able to be sent towards the top side because the dragon was taken.
And Tally's just going to be able to continuously push this lane. I like the positioning from Chime. Still not showing himself quite yet. But once the lane starts pushing and maybe the dive happens with Golden Guardians, although against Tenacity, wouldn't recommend it.
Exactly. It's diving of Volibear. It's not a easy champion to try to see if you can actually kill underneath the turret. Not only will the Sky Splitter be able to give him the shield, but having that Stormbringer to be able to heal up too. You're just kind of baiting him in, saying, all right, I dare you. You're not going to go for it. They know that there's not really a good execution to try to take him down, so instead they're going to send Chime back home to try to be able to answer where Puma is.
Probably for the best. I don't know if Golden Guardians Academy have spotted out Poom quite yet, but hovering around the mid side is definitely the scariest place to be, especially against Yunbi, who still has about 30 seconds left on that flash. Demonte, if he lands a good Scout of the Week, then that's a dead Orianna.
Exactly. With Ken V on the flank, could punish that, but now Luger. Flashed on top of him, does not have the flash just yet. Heal is available. Killer Instinct was used. Looking for the heal to be able to survive. Gets a little bit of damage with double TP too. So they might be able to turn this around. Tenacity going to be able to get some nice body block coming in from Boom on top of Prismal. They want to be able to get the damage, but they have to make sure that they're not too split up. They're going to be able to finally toss him in the air with the fear coming in from Onslaught of Shadows. Inferno Trigger doing a lot of damage, but it's not enough. Stormbringer with the shutdown for Ken V. Followed up on top. Throwing 2 kills into the pocket of 100 Thieves.
Come on and slam. Welcome to the jam. Tenacity able to get in, find that kill at the end of the day, but very nice double teleport call coming in from 100 Thieves Academy, knowing that Luger was in trouble, and Luger making it out without flash. Chef's kiss. Beautiful stuff coming out of bot laner.
Did not think that he was going to live. Even with the heal, thought he was dead. It was just in time, perfectly, by Golden Guardians Academy to be able to punish that flashless ADC, but unfortunately, they just didn't have the damage at that moment to actually execute upon it, and that gave enough time for the rest of 100 Thieves Academy to show up in that fight with a double TP to throw it right back in the face of Golden Guardians.
It was really just the setup coming in from 100 Thieves Academy. Yes, you had Luger alone, but he wasn't really alone. The 2 teleports were available, and you saw Kenvi already towards the mid side of the map at the start of that play. For the moment, it's looking like he's feeling pretty safe, didn't get any kills, but the fact that he lives and Prismal doesn't get anything for it, even getting very close on the Poom, means Luger finds himself in a very advantageous position, and because of his scaling, is going to stay that way for quite a while.
Also, by the way, apparently C9 Jack just tweeted at me on Twitter about my jacket. I'll have to send him the link of where I got this jacket, because I got it way back when we did the Academy broadcast for Cloud9 Academy, so I'll have to let him know all my fashion tips and tricks.
It's one of those Inception moments where it's like, where did you get that jacket? Oh, you got it for Cloud... What?
Exactly. Yeah, just way back in the day. I mean, then again, it was also back in 2018. I've had this for a while now. But going back into this game, we gotta go back into this game, Sam. This game.
Well, you know, I just gotta mention really quick, Magical.
Okay,
your jacket, it's the only one that was ever sold.
Oh, is that how it was? Ooh, Tally, though. Flashing away, dives to the smite, and now Rosethorn. This ain't looking too hot for him. Onslaught of Shadows, not gonna get the fear, but they have the stun and the taunt. There it is. Rampage for Tenacity. It's a trade of 1 for 2. Even though they were able to get the turret and trade that themselves, it's going to be the Shockwave flashed away by Tenacity to survive.
That's the second Shockwave he's flashed away from, and the second time he's lived after getting 2 kills. So Tenacity playing that one out pretty well. Just a little too aggressive on the dive.
Oh, Scout of the Week, where is it? The outplay button was used, and they want to be able to get the kill over. Puma had to steal it away. It's fine. I actually respect that they get the kill regardless.
I mean, I just like Yumbi playing that out the best he could. He forces the kill onto Alistar because of the Bomby Cinder instead of donating that over to Demonte. So a minor outplay, still going to give him credit for it.
Right now, we have more combatants trying to go into the top lane. Prismal, Chime, they've got themselves the turret into the bot lane. They've now gone to the top lane with the help of the Cannon Barrage. They've got the stun and the charm they needed to with a beautiful Magnet Storm to draw back in Luger, but it's going to be the trade. Boom has to die. The Inferno Trigger was denied. He's still alive, but he should die to one more. There it is. The auto attack will finish him off.
What a timing coming out of Poom. He still goes down in the end just because of the low health bar at the start of that. But Prismal gets denied the Infernal Trigger and manages to pick up a kill for himself. Now sitting at 3-1-1 with his mythic item finished. He's going to go back with a ton of gold.
Exactly. It's not looking too easy to be able to stop Prismal. And Prismal, last time around, he was denied so much because it was the Caitlyn versus Kaisa matchup, and Luger was able to bully him around at every stage. This time around, the shoe is on the other foot. Prismal has a massive lead, not only in CS, but also in these kills.
It's close, but, I mean, at least 100 Thieves Academy are able to get the dragon out of this. What the heck?
Tally, did you get outplayed?
Tally, yeah, I think so. Based on Demonte not having his ult and
he definitely
Tally being dead, he got outplayed. The mechanics were too good.
Tragic. It does happen that way. But with the kill, that's going to be a second one over for Demonte. The Syndra I already mentioned before, you get the Luden's Echo, start getting some more of that magic penetration. The little resistances that you do have on the side of Golden Guardians, really not going to be able to pay dividends. The only people that you're really going to target with that ult are going to be Prismal, Yunbi, Tally. You're not really ever going to use it onto Rosethorn, onto Chime, so it doesn't really matter if they're going tank.
It really doesn't. And DeMonte, credit to him, after last game, I thought he would be shattered. It didn't look like he was able to pick up any plays, wasn't able to really find anything on the Orianna, but on the Syndrome, maybe. It's a different day. We're on a new game, and he is 2-0-4, sitting 39 CS above his opponent.
Right now, it is going to be the start onto this Rift Herald. 100 Thieves Academy have control. They have a bit of a lead, even if it's only minor. It's enough to be able to scare Golden Guardians Academy from wanting to commit to this without Prismal in a position to actually capitalize. They give up the eye, saying, you can have that for now. We want to make sure that Prismal is the one we continue to funnel gold into.
Luger having a bit of a dangerous position here. There's no vision, but Poom might be caught out.
Poom is pretty fast, though, with those Moby boots to be able to get away, but just barely with the help of that zone 2 provided by the Cloud Dragon.
He also had the flash available, so if Chime tried to all-in him, it would be a summoner spell trade more than anything else. And that would have been nice, but 100 Thieves Academy still would have come away without a scratch on them.
That is true. They would have at least been able to survive, and that's the thing about having Hex Flash. It doesn't matter if you flash, you always will be able to go back to Hex Flash to be able to still find those engages, the creative flanks necessary for Ralph or Alistar to be impactful in these fights.
And I think it's really going to make a difference as we move a little closer to the team fight phase. You could argue we're already there, but the Dragon spawning up in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, the Baron spawning up in a minute are going to be the huge play points coming in for both teams. Golden Guardians Academy do not want to give up this next Dragon, because 100 Thieves with 3 Dragons means they can pressure objectives forever.
So Golden Guardians Academy are trying to see if they can play around holding on to some control, but it is going to be difficult as Kenvi is invading, has backup this time around, not going to have a repeat of what happened in game 1 where he invaded with no support at all. Might have to bail off of this red buff even if they have the reinforcements behind. It's going to be... Oh, Kenvi did get the smite steal.
Ooh, just barely, but a very nice play coming in from Kenvi, able to make that work and get a buff deny. It's not the biggest deal at 19 minutes in the game, but it does send a message to Rosethorn saying, your jungle's not safe, we have control.
Prismal is scared away as well. And Scryer's Bloom, enough to make sure that Prismal and Chime don't want to step too far out of line. So they have to go all the way back towards that secondary turret, forfeiting the primary here. Luger going to be able to get a little bit more gold into the pockets of this Kaisa to try to get up towards that level. This Samira, who's already gotten 2 completed items, while Luger, even if it has been some time since he's back, is still pretty far behind.
He's behind, but at the same time, it's a Kaisa, and if you're Kaisa and able to follow up on the dive potential, which we saw last game, then you're going to find some gold. It's going to come your way whether you like it or not. The Killer Instinct, definitely a powerful tool with a Hecarim and an Alistar to follow you up. And I feel like Golden Guardians Academy, they're just playing passive. They're trying to make sure that there's no weakness that they can be exploited of, and 100 Thieves Academy can't really find a way in so far.
The thing is, it's like, I mentioned this before, where last game, Golden Guardians Academy drafted more of that skirmish composition that did have a bit of a timer, and it worked out well. They were able to constantly dive into the backline on top of Luger to be able to punish him. This time, Golden Guardians didn't draft that. Instead, it was 100 Thieves Academy drafting very similar style. But the difference here is there's still that ability to be able to have a functioning front-to-back team fight that 100 Thieves Academy have built into this composition that wasn't necessarily innate in the last composition for Golden Guardians.
Very true. There's a pretty standard play as Tally's actually getting...
Yeah, he's not going to be able to live that one. He's just too far out. It's too easy.
Academy special. As we do...
I would say that's not Academy special.
Okay.
He was like, I have some control of a jungle, right? No, you don't. It's difficult when you don't have the tier 1. Your opponent has their tier 1 to be able to push you back, get vision control like this. So now they are put back into this back foot. Their backs are against the wall, trying to see if they can stop at least the Soul Point from going over to 100 Thieves Academy. But without Tally out for another 10 seconds, you're going to try to see if you can force a play with the Cannon Barrage immediately from respawn.
The teleport is also available, so Tally could be into this fight. It's all about the vision control at this point in the game, Magical. 100 Thieves Academy do have the river control and will be forcing themselves into this position. Looks like Golden Guardians Academy, they're also here, so this is going to be a fight.
TP was used by Tally to be able to join up. It is going to be the charge coming in from Shelly into this tier 2 in the bot lane. And we'll probably be able to take down the turret, but now we're actually going to have a fight ensue around the Cloud Dragon. It's a split-up fight. Demonte is the target. Scatter the Weak was huge, though. And the
nice, Golden.
Nothing to them as they eviscerate Golden Guardians Academy. They've split them apart. Finally, Demonte dies, but does it really matter when you're split apart like this? Tally, Rosethorn, both of them trying to be able to get away, but they just can't. Run down by Kenvi. Rosethorn getting chased off by the bear. Which one's the bigger bear? Seems that one is going to be able to escape, and it's the cub.
Magical, that is exactly the problem that Golden Guardians Academy were facing the entire time with this draft. A low-range composition versus an engage comp. There's something you have to be so scared of, and you have to choose your targets so carefully. Yes, you're going to get Demonte down, but there's still 4 members that are going to be able to do damage and CC you to death. 100 Thieves Academy just capitalize on the overextension. They're able to make the plays and find a great team fight at the backside.
With that team fight, too, will be the Baron into their pockets. Even if Golden Guardians Academy were all able to respawn to possibly put up a fight, they can't get there in time. There's no TP from Tally. The turret might have stood into the spot lane, but at what cost did it all really work out?
Well, at least it's Dragon. Nothing else. That turret also got saved. Thank you, observers, for finding that one. Looks like that will be a small victory for Golden Guardians Academy. More of, a complimentary prize. Nice.
We didn't get to see the Scatter of the Week. The Scatter of the Week was the big thing.
Absolutely big Scatter of the Week, and a great follow-up by Poom in order to keep the entire team knocked up. But you saw how everyone on Golden Guardians Academy funneled into that small area. And 100 Thieves Academy had such an easy way to capitalize on that with the draft that they've drafted. They have the Hecarim, they have the Alistar, and they have the Scatter of the Week. Those tools alone make for a one team fight if the enemy team is grouped up.
Then I say the Syndra is like the Seraphine from last game.
True.
It's just the difference is it's on a basic ability instead of an ult. And that Scatter of the Week, that's why I keep mentioning it. It was so crucial by Demonte, because not only did it delay the time that it took to kill him, but there's so much that had been burned trying to kill them that with that disengage, there was nothing that Golden Guardians could do to be able to fight back.
It's going to be very difficult for Golden Guardians Academy to come back into this game. As I said at the beginning of draft, they are the reactive team between both of these. You can see 100 Thieves Academy have more engage tools, and Golden Guardians Academy have to use the reaction. They have to get the counter engage in order to win any of these fights. But as of late, especially this entire game, they've shown they have not been able to find reactions. They instead go for their own proactive plays, and I don't think this draft enables the team's strength.
There's still the potential, though. You still have some scaling options, but you have to be able to survive. You have to be able to somehow find a good flank out of Rosethorn and Chime to be able to catch out Luger, catch out Demonte. But it seems like 100 Thieves Academy are quick on the draw in this game. It's not quite like last time where they're a little bit on the back foot. They are the ones that constantly get to press the issue.
And you know what the commonality between these two games, Magical? That Hecarim first pick really makes a difference. I gotta really praise 100 Thieves Academy for picking it first this time, as opposed to waiting for Golden Guardians Academy to pick it for themselves. It definitely does make a difference, and it seems to be a huge impact in deciding who's going to be the active team, who's going to be the reactive team.
Well, isn't there a reason why we see it so damn often? It works so well with these teams and what they want to be able to do. As Golden Guardians Academy have been forced back into their base and trying to see if they can at least hold on to these structures with the Baron buffing up 100 Thieves Academy. They will be able to at least stop too much of their own base from fully falling, since the Baron should be timing out relatively soon out of 100 Thieves Academy. But this has given a lot of time and a lot of extra gold income into 100 Thieves' pocket to now back off, spend that gold, and continue to have an advantage in these fights.
And especially Demonte picking up a couple extra buffs, that blue buff going to be crucial, as he needs to spam spells out. Golden Guardians Academy just have to really worry about the vision that they put down. You can see the top side of their jungle has been warded out a little bit by 100 Thieves Academy, but easily cleared out. And if they have at least knowledge of where Poom and Kenvi are going to be, then it's going to help out a lot in deciding whether they can counter-engage, or even go for a pick.
At the moment, we do have a little bit of a lull in the action, waiting for the resets to come in. There's 100 Thieves Academy spending a lot of that gold income that we were just talking about they got for themselves. With this, they now can set up around these objectives, try to see if they can get themselves within a soul point yet again, but it's still only the Cloud Soul. It's not really as important. A soul's a soul, regardless, but it's not as pivotal as having something, say, like a Baron.
No, it's definitely not going to be the huge difference maker, but that said, Baron is coming up in about 2 minutes, and if 100 Thieves Academy can find a good enough fight around the base, then at the very least they get an inhibitor, and that's going to make the Baron all the easier to get.
Right now, everyone is grouped up on the side of Golden Guardians Academy. They're all here in this tight corridor, trying to see if they can deny 100 Thieves Academy, jumping on it to chime into the back line. Kenvi was the one to dive in without any backup, but they found Tally. Caught away. Shockwave connects onto nobody. Huge fear on the 4 members as well. Crystal trying to do his best, trying to see if he can get a little bit of damage back, but unfortunately he just does not have the damage at the moment. Having to get the flash away, time's dead. Huge scan of the week as well. They've got the double kill coming in. They've chased down everyone, and that is 100 Thieves Academy finding a clean ace, and they will be able to take game 2. We got another game 3 today, Sam. We haven't had one in over a year, you and I casting together, but both these teams have managed to make that come true, with 100 Thieves Academy having a great team fight to end this second game.
Golden Guardians Academy thought they had the answer, but 100 Thieves Academy had the better and faster answer. And you know what they say, in a test, it's all about who finishes first. 100 Thieves Academy taking that game away.
Nicely done from them, and like I said, that draft seemed like what Golden Guardians had tried to do to them in the first game. It was pretty much just the shoe on the other foot, and 100 Thieves Academy were the team that came out on top. Pretty much almost the same thing in the bot lane, where you had Prismal be the one to be able to win out in the laning phase and constantly be able to bully Luger. Well, it didn't work out that way because you had such a superior dive composition coming in from 100 Thieves Academy.
It was really the look that 100 Thieves Academy were going for in game 1. Unfortunately, they got spread apart and there wasn't really a team fight that could be had. Golden Guardians Academy, this game, had the same problem where they couldn't really find the engages they needed. They couldn't find any sort of dive that really worked out. And without that dive composition that they had in game 1, it felt like they had nothing to do.
And there ends the 5-game win streak of Golden Guardians Academy, losing that game. They had been doing so hot in the losers bracket, having not dropped a single game since having faced off against No Org in the first round. But now they are here 1-1 against 100 Thieves Academy. Whatever team wins this third game is going to move on to face off against Evil Genius's Prodigy, who are going to toss it to a break, and we'll be right back for this third and final game. Welcome back, everyone, for one more final game here in Proving Grounds tonight. It's our last best of 3, and I'm so glad that the final 2 best of 3s are going the full mile. We got 2 back-to-back 3-game series here, Sam. And hey, if legend be told for 100 Thieves Academy, it works out that way. It's been going for them in the losers bracket. 3rd game, they tend to win.
It could very well be the case, but honestly, Magical, I don't know if I believe in that mumbo jumbo. It all depends on whether or not you are a fan.
That's fair. But you know something that is interesting that's going to happen going into this final game. Golden Guardians Academy have elected to swap sides. Their first game of the tournament that they're going to play on the blue side.
And they've had a lot of success on the red side. It was only last game where they really started to falter, and a lot of that came down to just 100 Thieves Academy able to get the proactive abilities, able to get a lot of damage done. Prismal still played pretty well. You can see in this play, that was probably the highlight for Golden Guardians' last game. But otherwise, it was just the Kenvi show running around, able to get so many kills, and this huge dragon play was really what sealed the deal.
And just that scout of the week out of Demonte, too. So much had been put on to kill Demonte, yet they weren't able to do it until the very end after he had already done his job. He had gotten the full rotation of spells out, and that allowed enough time to elapse for 100 Thieves Academy to then collapse and be able to completely destroy and conquer the side of Golden Guardians Academy.
An unfortunate catch out at the end, but what could Golden Guardians really do? They kept using abilities, they kept putting down damage, but they couldn't find the targets properly. Demonte stayed safe, Luger stayed safe, and the 3-man dive squad, the full beef coming out from 100 Thieves Academy, was too much to deal with throughout the entire game. From there, it was just a simple win, and 100 Thieves Academy, they drafted a comp they were good at, they played it well.
Indeed, they did, and they forced a game 3. And like I said, swapping sides, Golden Guardians Academy going to be on the blue side, which makes me wonder, do we see 100 Thieves Academy ban this Hecarim? Clearly, it is the champion that has been making and breaking these 2 past games.
It really is an important pick. Unfortunately, the bans that they already have are too important to give up. I believe it was the Renekton. Just, you can't let them have that. It's too strong on the side of Tenacity. He knows how to play it, and I feel like changing that up is going to be too much of a devastating change. Keeping the bans the same should be perfectly fine for both teams, but the Hecarim, I think you just let it through if you're 100 Thieves Academy.
Think so. Well, I'm pretty sure that Rosethorn probably going to first pick that if that is the case. So far today, we have seen that if Hecarim has been let through, which he's only been banned once, he has won every single game today. I feel like it is just the pony's day to gallop across and be able to trot over the corpses of his opponents.
It really has been just a Centaur day, and the Mafia will be incredibly happy about that. But Hecarim, it's just a strong pick in the current meta, and I don't think that's going anywhere, especially if we consider the games that are happening tomorrow, the games that are happening next week. It's going to be nothing but the Hecarim Mudir Lilia show, and I don't think that's changing unless, by some weird exception, all 3 get banned.
Could happen. You never know. That is something that I was talking about at the very beginning of this day, that we could see a lot of jungle focus. And if that's the case, you start getting down the list of acceptable champions that you want to be able to play. Volibear was one of those champions I was wondering if we were going to see. We just happened to see him top lane this time around. It's still a perfectly viable jungle if you want to be able to go for it, but it just can't keep up with something like a Hecarim, something like an Udyr, even something like an Olaf that can power clear so damn fast.
I mean, it's so easy to just name junglers that are good in the current meta that you might have played in your solo queue games, but in the professional meta, it's all about that fast clears. Morgana, not 11.7 yet, so you got to take that into consideration. 11.8, excuse me. I saw it on 11.7 once. It was scary. I didn't like it.
Yeah, but it's even worse now. It's even worse now.
But, you got to worry about those. The things that work in solo queue, again, not necessarily the things that translate to professional play, not the things that these academy players are used to playing, and definitely not the sort of thing that wins games at this level, just because there's so many places to exploit the, I don't know, I'll pick a Mumu for the sake of example. It seems strong. It has the CC, it has some clear, but the invade and the faster clears are always going to be on top.
It doesn't clear fast enough comparatively, that's the name of the game right now, and I doubt that would be fun to see, but I doubt we're going to see that, especially not in this deciding match the winner of this game, just this game alone, is going to decide who is going to move forward into the loser semifinals to face off against Evil Genius's Prodigies and face them in the first best of fives that we're going to have. I believe that one would be on Sunday. So whoever wins this one gets to play against them Sunday.
I believe there are some games happening tomorrow. I'm excited and looking forward to those best of fives. I particularly have found that these lower bracket quarterfinals, that I'm going to continuously call them, have been really exciting so far, Magical. I mean, 2 best of 3s that went the distance, teams that are pretty darn good and have played to the best of their strengths in at least one of the games so far today. I couldn't ask for anything more.
Hey, coming back from the LPL, over there we see nothing but 2-0s pretty much. Very rarely do we get, like before at least the playoffs, did we ever get to see them actually go to the full 3 games. Now, coming back over to NA, I'm glad to see that I'm at least getting some change. When we first got to start off the Proving Grounds, we got 2 2-0s immediately right out of the gates. And so now, finishing off at least the best of 3s, we get to end it off with 2 best of 3s going fully to 3 games.
And hopefully this last one will be chaotic, because as I remember, the TSM FlyQuest Academy, that 3rd game got spicy. And I'm hoping for exactly the same here. I imagine both teams are still looking for those late game team fights. I imagine some changes are going to be made. Nocturne might get banned again against Golden Guardians Academy. But I still think both of them drafting towards similar compositions, the 5v5 dive, is entirely facilitated by how they play.
Honestly, I don't even know if they're going to ban that Nocturne this time around, because, again, being on a different side, you're not having to worry about that counter matchup, essentially. The blind pick that you're having to go into and worry that Nocturne's going to be the final 4th pick. You actually have more tools to be able to work with if you're 100 Thieves Academy. The only thing you're going to really miss out on is being able to grab that Hecarim right out of the gates.
And out of the gates, he's going to go, because I imagine there's no reason. I think every game today and every game throughout, I would even argue this entire Proving Grounds has shown that if you grab the Hecarim on blue side, you're bound for success. It's not 100% win rate. It is a pretty darn high win rate, and I think it's an important thing, especially in this series, when you think about 100 Thieves and Golden Guardians, how they love to be proactive, how they love to dive, and how they love to use the Hecarim, and especially in conjunction with something like Kaisa or Tristana in order to follow that up. Both teams are prioritizing this so much, you can't let it go.
I was trying to see if I can find out how many times that it's won blue side, but I feel like it's really high. I feel like blue side pick is like, up in the, like, because right now his total win rate is at 63% throughout this Proving Grounds. And he's been banned 31 times, picked 19. This is before the day, by the way. This is not including the games today as well.
Yeah, so there's just a lot of evidence supporting Hecarim. He's a good pick on 11.6. I don't imagine that'll change going into Game 3 of this series, and I would think that both teams have realized how important this is. You asked about whether or not Hecarim gets banned. The more I think about it, I'm more willing to lean towards the yes side for 100 Thieves Academy, who will be on red.
Well, because they are swapping sides too, I don't know if we're going to see Golden Guardians Academy go for the same bans as well. I almost wonder if we maybe see a trade. Thresh is something that we normally see banned on red side. The only team that I think is not really following that trend is TSM Academy, who ban at blue side themselves, not feeling confident to first pick that one. But most teams ban at red side. And so looking at this, I wonder if under Thieves Academy maybe leave open Hecarim, leave open Thresh, and say, which one would you rather have?
I mean, yeah, you could leave both open. Yes, you could give them the decision, but at the same time, I just don't think that benefits either team particularly much. If you give over the Hecarim, then that's the Hecarim gone. It's not really a choice. It's really just a binary yes-no, as opposed to, and that binary refers to whether or not it's available, as opposed to whether or not you want it.
There's a lot of question marks. I mean, obviously all these will be answered when we jump into Champion Select on how these teams are going to really approach the draft. I will say, it is nice to see at least the teams trying to be slightly creative with their drafts. You know, Samir coming back in for Prismal, something we haven't seen too much. And it's not like it did bad either. Sure, it's not necessarily meta, but she obviously can still be powerful in lane phase. And Prismal was able to prove that. And then the Volibear too, being able to, even if it's been something that we have been seeing slowly creep back into the meta, it is still cool to see that 100 Thieves Academy have a lot that they can work with for Tenacity top lane.
I mean, there are some meta picks we still haven't seen a whole lot of, Magical. I mean, I think back to the Cloud9 versus Team Liquid finals that occurred in the LCS just a little bit ago, and I think to the Sylas. And that has not really been a pick between any of these teams. I don't think there's anyone that really specializes it at least at the academy level. But I would like to see it a little bit more. I feel like if you deny the Hecarim or if you give the Hecarim away, then you at least have an answer to that. You have an engage that's literally the same thing as the game goes on. And I feel like if you think about those off-meta picks, or not even off-meta, but basically the exact same meta picks, but stretched out, then you can really give yourself a lot more breathing room.
Well, we'll see what they're going to be able to go with here in this final game for the best of threes. The winner of this one moves on into the best of fives. We'll be playing this Sunday against Evil Genius's Prodigies. But right now, as we jump in, and like we said, they've swapped sides. They haven't swapped the first bans.
No, they're going to look exactly identical just because these two top laners are very comfortable in the Renekton and Gnar, respectively. And there's no real reason to give that over. The Thresh as well, very strong pick for Poom. Will be denied that, but the Hecarim is still up, Magical. The big question, it has been denied. Not today.
See, that's what I was wondering. Do you go for the handshake trade of Thresh for Hecarim? And once I saw the Thresh ban, I was immediately thinking, all right, you ban Hecarim. There's no way you make this a trade here. You don't try to go for that. Rel being banned away by Golden Guardians Academy as well. So we will see a bit of change into this bot lane. And it makes me wonder if maybe we are going to see something like that Senna and Tahm Kench bot lane that 100 Thieves Academy might be able to fall back to.
Well, if they're going to do it, this would be the game to pull it out. However, you still have Tristana and Kai'Sa, the traditional ADs that are still available. I don't imagine you ban either of those. Udyr are going to be banned away, leaving us to Lilia as the last S-tier jungler available, I imagine. Golden Guardians Academy really thinking about that pick.
Lilia and Nidalee. That's usually what we see when we don't have the Hecarim and Udyr, but I still think that there's more that we might be able to have explored in that jungle. When you don't have Hecarim and Udyr that you're worrying about, there is the Lilia Nidalee trade that you can easily go for, but Volibear, Nocturne, these are other picks that we might be able to see busted out, especially Kenvi. He's likely to play something a bit more aggressive than Nidalee, falls into that similar wheelhouse, but I wouldn't be surprised if 100 Thieves Academy completely flipped the script.
Magical, I'm going to make a bold prediction here based on the fact that Lilia was locked in the middle of that. They're not going to flip the script.
No.
It's going to be Nidalee.
That's not a bold prediction. That's a lame prediction.
Magical, if you say something is bold, then it's bold. And speaking of bold, 100 Thieves Academy are falling back to their tried and true Senna Kench.
When you don't see the Tahm Kench banned away, of course they're going to go for that. Going to be an incredibly safe bot lane for themselves, something that they can utilize to be able to bully around Prismal, bully around Chime, even with Kai'Sa and Tristana. Alistar left open as well. Not really the best to put into this kind of difficult bot lane. Instead, you want to be able to get something that's going to be able to deal a little bit more damage, be able to scale and outscale them. So going for Jinx. Do they go for the Jinx Lulu and have a hyper carry? Yes, they do.
Interesting. Okay, so here's the thing, Magical. This is also a flex pick. This could very well go to Tally. This could go to Yunbi. So this isn't necessarily locking Chime into the support, the Enchanter support. This could be a number of different things. Now Golden Guardians Academy have to think, what kind of beef are we going to put into this? Because yes, you can keep drafting more of the squishies. Kenvi himself.
You were wrong. Look at this. We get the Kayn pick.
And more often than not, 100 Thieves Academy and most teams that have drafted Kayn typically go for the blue Kayn. And against this comp, I can't say I disagree. So far, 3 squishies have been drafted. Yes, the Lulu's going to give a little bit of extra HP to any target, but that's not going to be enough to really dissuade an assassin like blue Kayn.
No, and I will say, even though, you're not going to really dissuade this Assassin Kayn from being able to try to dive on top of Prismal, it's not necessarily going to be easy either. You have to make sure you're careful on who you target, when you target, because having that Lulu, that's what I was saying, the Juggernaut composition. It might not be Kog'Maw for that kind of style, but it's still going to be the hyper carry Jinx that you can always fall back to. And like you said, this Lulu could be flexed around, which means with Seraphine still left open, that could be an option that they grab to really make sure that this Jinx is going to have every tool possible to survive.
Well, now Damonte has his pick of the litter when it comes to mid laners. Only Lucian and his Renekton going to be banned out, so every control mage is available. I imagine Orianna could get locked in for him. It's not an awful pick, or it could just be the Zoe. Okay, so locking that in confidently to be able to get a little more poke damage into the 100 Thieves Academy composition.
Nearly daring at Yunbi to try to go for that Orianna, to try to deal with this Zoe. Even though the Syndra is left open and can be the fallback to go for, instead to try to be able to at least bully around Zoe, you have to be careful because Zoe doesn't really want to be in that lane anyway. She wants to clear out, rotate around the map, try to make plays elsewhere. As Urgot gets locked into the top side, Zoe is fine. It could still be that Lulu mid lane for Yunbi. We haven't guaranteed that just yet. Even with these hovers, it's not until we get the confirmation with that lock-in that we know exactly where it's going.
This is still a very squishy comp coming in from Golden Guardians Academy, assuming that Orianna gets locked in for Yunbi and not something like a Galio or something else flexible. This is still very much susceptible to a blue Kayn that gets ahead. The question is whether or not he's able to get those early damage down and able to evolve quickly, because if he stays normal Kayn for too long, then that pick really starts to fall apart.
And with this, I feel like, oh, come on, do it, Tenacity. Give us something spicy like that. Nah, okay, the Volibear, it's a fun one. I would have loved to see like Darius. That would have been a great way to try to get this final best of 3, because it's not necessarily the final game for either of these teams. They have to be able to win this if they want to continue to march forward and continue their hopes of maintaining themselves within these proving grounds.
Well, this is the final game, as you said, Magical, and I feel like tried and true is always the way to go, and picking something tanky for the top lane just makes sense with what 100 Thieves Academy is drafted. The Senna Kench lane especially is just an indication that your top is going to be at least a bruiser, if not a full-on tank, and Volibear kind of fits the bill. Very able to take hits, able to keep members off of Senna when they try to go in, but Golden Guards Academy don't really have an engage tool, so to speak. Yes, the Swirl Seed is available. Yes, you have, I guess, Lulu getting a catch out randomly, but generally speaking, they have a one-dimensional engage comp once again, and I don't know if that's going to be enough to beat 100 Thieves Academy.
Well, see, I kind of see this composition not necessarily wanting to engage. I feel like this is about the catch and release. They're trying to absorb 100 Thieves diving into them and then throw it back into their face, because it is not an easy composition for them to be able to burst down, especially if they're all grouped up together. Normally, we talked about this front-to-back style where, sure, 100 Thieves Academy have dives similar to how they did in Game 2, but it's a lot more risky this time. You're not guaranteed that you're going to be able to annihilate Prismal, that you're going to be able to blow up Yunbi or even Rosethorn, all because if Chime is there, you have to be careful of the Polymorph and the Wild Growth.
There's a lot available to the side of Golden Guardians Academy. I just worry that this is very similar to Game 2, where 100 Thieves Academy had the engage comp, Golden Guardians Academy had the reactionary comp, and with the reactionary comp, they just couldn't find the right engagements. They couldn't find the right counter engagements in order to get a good timing. 100 Thieves Academy just kind of ran them over, and I just hope that isn't the same case as this game.
Well, with Golden Guardians having their first time on blue side in this Proving Grounds tournament up against 100 Thieves Academy, both of them are fighting for their lives in the Proving Grounds. They want to make sure that they can move forward, get to the best of 5s, face off against Evil Genius's prodigies. It all comes down to this final game.
It really does, and it looks like both teams are just setting up line of scrimmage. No cheeky level 1s to speak of, but both teams know how much is on the line and how much they have to focus. Hopefully, 100 Thieves Academy will be able to have a better bot lane this time, looking more like Game 1 as opposed to Game 2. And for Golden Guardians Academy, their bot lane last time was fine. This time, they don't quite have the same oomph with the Lulu Jinx lane as opposed to the Rel and Samira lane.
But then again, you're not really having to worry too much. It's a Santa Tom Kench lane that you're facing off against, right? They're not really known as a kill lane. It's going to be more of a trade of a little bit of damage back and forth, trying to see who can maintain a bit of control. And since you have that range support into the melee matchup support, usually you'd give the edge over to Golden Guardians Academy.
Generally, I would. It all depends on how they play it out, though. It looks like for the start, Tally and Tenacity, a lane that really hasn't done a whole lot, just early kills here and there. And eventually, Tally was able to do a lot on Nocturne, but for the laning phases that we've seen, it's been back and forth, just shaking hands, having fun.
As you can see right now, not quite the handshake in the spot lane. A little bit of damage traded back and forth, but not really in a position to be able to follow up anything just yet. They're poking each other out a little bit, waiting to see if maybe they're going to be able to get a little bit of assistance coming in from their junglers. With Genvi on the top side of the map, he was spotted out on those Krugs by a nice ward placed down by Golden Guardians Academy. So they have information. You can even see that Genvi was able to push out mid lane a little bit, so he can now get another ward onto that blue buff to constantly be able to pinpoint Genvi.
Really smart play coming out of Golden Guardians Academy, getting all the vision that they need. And Demonte just kind of getting the short end of the stick here. It's looking like the jungle rotations are going to go Rosethorn to top and Kenvi to bottom as the game starts out. But I have to think that Kenvi's not going to be in a position to gank just because of how much priority that Luger and Poom have built up over time. And Prismal and Chime, they're just kind of taking poke for free, more or less. And with Prismal not having the heal and without an exhaust being present, it's going to be tough.
Ooh. Luger,
well, what is this?
Playing a bit aggressively there without Poom nearby, wanting to get a bit of damage back onto Chime and Prismal. But a bit risky, a bit overextended there. Could have been punished a little bit further, but at least the heal was blown, so Golden Guardians Academy might be able to make work with that.
You would call that an overextension and a missed timing out of Luger, and definitely losing his heal. An acceptable trade. Golden Guardians, yes, could have pushed a little bit harder, but using their own summoner spells would have been too much, as Poom was relatively nearby, just not nearby enough to really save Luger from anything bad.
Yeah, like you said, it's nothing really bad happening in the bot lane just yet, but Yunbi, gotta be careful. Kenvi in the mid lane.
Demonte.
Try to see if they can get the flash off of him, getting a little bit of damage coming in, and Swirl Seed on the other side. Flash finally barely surviving Yunbi as Demonte took a tower shot, and Rosethorn nearby. Gonna be able to scare off Demonte and Kenvi for trying to execute a dive.
And with that, Kenvi's going to be able to pick up a lot of evolution points, again, towards blue, which is most likely the case. Demonte getting low, though, and I got to say, Rosethorn's response has been pretty good. Able to back both of the members of 100 Thieves Academy off and make sure this tower stays safe.
No plate's going to be picked up by 100 Thieves Academy here. Instead, just going to be getting the TPs out of Yunbi. Probably going to be the TP in from Demonte as well. But bot lane, a lot of damage put back onto Poom, back onto Luger. Might even get the Zap to be able to connect to force a Luger and Poom back underneath their turret.
And the prio once again goes to Golden Guardians Academy, able to get a little bit of advantage after what was a pretty rough early game. It was just that play off of Luger overextending that allows them to get this priority. Unfortunately, Dragon isn't spawning for another 10 seconds, and even if it was sooner, Kenvi just isn't in a position, or I should say Rosethorn isn't in a position to take a Dragon by himself.
Not just yet. Going for that Predator onto this Lilia. It's much more about being able to help out these lanes. Try to see if you can get a gank early on. Now that the recall has happened, been able to get those Predator oots picked up. Probably going to look to try to see a lane that can be ganked easily. Something that can be picked up for the team and then be able to rotate towards those objectives.
What I want to see out of this 100 Thieves Academy team is the fact that you have Kenvi, he's getting a lot of damage down as Kayn, but you also have the Tenacity lane, and I feel like going topside is going to be a huge deterrent for Golden Guardians if 100 Thieves Academy is able to get early damage onto Tally, because Tally on this Urgot, if he ever falls behind, is never going to be able to have the same input and impact as a Volibear that is behind.
This is also when we have Urgot with Titanic Hydra that hasn't been nerfed yet, right? This is
true.
The Urgot lane that once he gets that Titanic Hydra built, he is nearly unstoppable. It's so hard to actually be able to do much about him because he has so much damage that he spreads throughout team fights while being so tanky.
He has a lot of options available to him, certainly, and as the builds get more complicated, it's going to be tough to deal with the Urgot, but what I'm saying is, if Tenacity gets a lead early on and is able to really make a difference early enough in the game, and perhaps even getting 2 kills to start it off, we can see the Tenacity that we saw last game.
That is true. That is a possibility that they could try to see if they can fall back to. Ooh, but Tenacity had to use the ult to be able to dodge away from the Fear Beyond Death out of Tally, meaning that, sure, it's not necessarily the worst thing. Oh, though, mid lane. Kenvi underneath the turret. Could use the Umbral Trespass. There it is to dodge away from the World Seed to get first blood for himself and dodge away from Rosethorn, who wants to be able to try to chase someone down with the help of the Predator, but can't do it.
And Predator Lilia, definitely an interesting choice. Usually Phase Rush more often than not works out for Rosethorn. But I don't disagree with the pick. More often than not, it just means you're able to get a lot of early damage down and you can really get the burst quickly, as opposed to Phase Rush, which is more for scale.
Oh, Luger getting a little bit of assistance from Poom as Rosethorn. It looked like he might have been able to help out this bot lane for Prismal and Chime, but we got to take a look at this replay. Just a nice Sleepy Trouble Bubble that was able to connect.
It looked like it was about to miss, but very well placed. And Kenvi for the follow-up knows that Yunbi doesn't have the flash, so the Umbral Trespass, easy as pie, so the Swirl Seed misses. And the aggro completely goes away from both 100 Thieves Academy members.
It's actually kind of crazy. So it might have looked a little bit wonky with the paddle, not the paddle search, the Sleepy Trouble bubble, but what it was when it has, you know, its completed trajectory, you can actually get it so that, you know, okay, hold on, we got Little Thing of Lullaby using the bot lane. Boom, might be able to survive, has that thick skin to flash away.
Survives.
He got so much damage to that, is what I expected, but Yunbi about to get Shockwave, has a, no flash though, not going to be able to get that in time to be able to look for that dive underneath the turret onto Luger and Poom.
And look at that. 100 Thieves Academy, they know that Yunbi is missing, but they still managed to push up, and Prismal's getting low.
Prismal has to use the heal to be able to survive out of Chime. And with that gone, there could still be more damage. Luger, every time, these Dawning Shadows are doing so much to force off Prismal.
That's what you have to worry about against the Senna, and that's why he took Cleanse instead of the heal, just able to get out in case he gets hit by the W. Luger has been very on point with his skill shots, and that's why this composition for 100 Thieves Academy has been so prevalent, because they're able to play it out, because they can trust in Luger to deal damage, even if he is the fasting Senna.
It's now, with a lot of pressure in that bot lane picked up by Luger and Poom to be able to absorb that attempted gank, gotta shift our focus towards the top side. Tenacity, you know? I'm surprised that he was able to do that much damage over to Tally, with Tally barely even tickling the Volibear.
That's what you can do with just building pure health and those Ionian boots, able to get so much damage down and able to survive because he has the HP. The thing about Volibear, you don't really need to build damage. All you need is the extra health, and his damage scales with it. So the early builds, very much in the favor of 100 Thieves Academy.
They get themselves control around this Dragon Pit. Oh, they found Chime, too. Having to use the Blast Cone to be able to get away, but you're giving more stacks over to Kenvi to get closer towards that blue form.
He is getting pretty darn close. I would imagine that he is maybe a couple hits away from actually being able to transform at about 9 minutes, 30 seconds into the game. He is going to be very scary once that upgrades.
Hey, he's hit Yunbi twice. He's got Chime there as well. As long as you get these range characters, you're going to be able to get towards that blue form a lot quicker. It's working out well so far for Kenvi. And in fact, Urgot going to function as the same way if he wants to be able to go to the top lane. There's so much that this Kane's going to be able to do once he gets himself up towards that blue form and feel far more like a completed champion.
And he's going for the Rift Herald at the moment. As Tenacity and Tally just going head to head in this battle of the big boys.
Could be used, but they're both holding off on it, waiting to see maybe Kenvi might show up with the Monte. Look for a dive on a Tally, but bot lane Luger taking a lot of damage. Zap does not connect. Where's the rocket? Where's the dive? They're trying to see if they can attempt it from Rosethorn. Maybe they're going to be able to get it, but Luger has dodged back pretty far away. Has been healing up immensely, too.
Oh, Rosethorn's going in.
Sleepy Trouble Bubble flashed away. Here's the TP
Rocket
coming in, looking to see if they can chase down Rosethorn. He's over the wall. You got a nice use of the Voyage to cut off the retreat with a flash stun on top of Chime, forced to use the Wild Growth on himself, but still dies to Demonte, while Rosethorn trying to be able to escape with the help of that Wolf Camp, but just cannot do so. They have Ignite. They might have to gift the kill. It's a double to Demonte.
Demonte being in the right place at the right time, but 100 Thieves Academy collapsed beautifully onto the overextension coming in from Golden Gardens Academy, and that's exactly what we were hoping for, waiting for the reactionary play and doing it well. So 100 Thieves Academy looking pretty strong right now, and gifting both of those to Demonte doesn't hurt in the slightest. Exactly what you want at this stage in the game.
And Sam, I understand your voice hurting too. We've got 6 total games so far. It's been wild. It's been all over the place. But you know what? We get to see it. Take a look at this play again in the bot lane. And I respect the fact that Golden Guardians are attempting these dives on it to the Senna Tahm Kench lane, but we see why you don't generally gank that lane. It's just so difficult to actually kill Senna.
It's the fact that everyone had teleport available. 100 Thieves Academy had all the members in location in order to deal with that dive. And also the fact that we mentioned during Champ Select, Golden Guardians Academy has to be the passive team.
Using the grenades to try to be able to get away. The flash in, Chime, you have no health. You have no wild growth. Even with the heal, it should be the kill coming in. He takes down Chime for the second time this game, and that might be the full stacks up for Kane now.
Almost gifted over to Demonte again, but you're more than happy to give Kenvi the stacks, and now he should have the evolution if my math is right. He also has the Rift Herald, which will be popped. I believe that was in the bot lane. That's going to make a pretty huge difference considering that they need the early advantages, and if they are able to push the early advantages, then this reactionary team on Golden Gardens Academy not going to be able to do their job.
Prismal tried. That was valiant.
He did try.
He wanted to be able to. I've seen so many steals with rockets from Jinx nowadays. I expected that to actually be stolen.
More often than not, I feel like I see the Baron steals. The Dragon steals, pretty difficult to do with
I've
Jinx.
seen a lot of dragon steals. You'd be surprised.
Okay. Well, I am surprised.
It's weird. But right now, looks like that there's going to be this large lead for 100 Thieves Academy. They've gotten themselves 4 kills early on. 2,000 gold lead, but Luger, got to be careful. There's Predator popped by Rose Thorn, still trying to see if they can dodge away from this fight just enough to be able to get the damage onto Prismal, onto Chime. Rose Thorn wants to be able to enter in and dive a little bit further down, but he just cannot get on top of Luger. If you sleep Lilting Lullaby on Tapoom, that means you wasted it onto Tom Kent that has that thick skin to survive.
It's going to be really tough. At 100 Thieves Academy, just have the response every single time. You try to play active against the most passive lane in the game in 100 Thieves Academy, you find out the results are not great. And for Golden Guardians Academy, they're looking for any play they can make, but the only play they seem to be finding is the bot lane, and that's just not what you want. Yunbi hasn't been able to be involved in this entire
Look
game.
at how fast Ken V is right now. They're looking for Tally. They've got the damage. They've blown him up, in fact.
Tenacity also lives through the dive. Very big that they were able to get the 1-for-0 going over to the top laner, and Kenvi, now evolved, is going to be a true terror on the Rift.
And that's what we're talking about. He was trying his damnedest to be able to get towards that blue can. You can see the amount of damage, especially since there's no resistances that have been really built up by Golden Guardians Academy at the moment. Prowler's Claw is completed. Already looking to see if he can scale up that lethality to burst through these members of Golden Guardians.
And that's exactly why they picked this Kayn, is just because they knew there were so many squishy members on the side of Golden Guardians Academy. The only person that's ever going to build resistances early in the game is Tally, and you saw exactly what happened when Kenvi got to that top side of the map. When you look at everyone else, Rosethorn, Yumi, Prismal, and Chime, they're all going to be very susceptible to the Kayn, and even if you have a Chime ultimate, even if you have that wild growth, it doesn't matter, because fire magical.
Also, the fact that Chime, dying 2 times in this game, wild growth himself, but still died. You need to be able to use that onto your carry, onto Prismal, and Kenvi. It's making sure that this Lulu not going to be able to do so. The flash away, but the follow is too immense. Umbral Trespass, the Shockwave could do nothing to stop him.
Just barely not in time for that Shockwave, but it wouldn't have mattered anyway. Too much damage out of 100 Thieves Academy, and Kenvi having a pop-off game in the lower bracket quarterfinals.
You don't often get to see a Kayn, but you can see the power in the right hands. The flash coming in. Tenacity trying to be able to get away. Does not have that Stormbreaker. Fear beyond death. Pulling back in with the chains and destroying the bear.
He got over there, and Tally manages to find himself the first kill for Golden Guardians Academy of the game. It's a shame that it had to come so late and at the cost of 5 other kills for 100 Thieves Academy, but at the very least, it's a start to something. And if Tally gets taken off, he could potentially become the 1v5 monster.
Anything that you can get, you'll take at this point. If you're Golden Guardians, or if you're a fan of the organization, you want them to be able to get really just any gold. And having that Titanic Hydra completed for Tally is going to be massive. But Prismal, you're going to die before then, so it doesn't really matter, even though they got the lockdown. There's no Emerald Trespass, so they got to be careful. Unity has the Shockwave, not going to be able to pull him back in, though. So Prismal will be able to survive, but they get nothing to be able to punish 100 Thieves Academy.
Yumbi just unable to convert that into a kill, but the teleport does save his life. Let's take a look at that time Yumbi died. Just too much damage coming out of Kenvi and Demonte. Even without the CC landing from the Sleepy Trouble Bubble, it doesn't matter. Kayn at this point in the game against an armorless Orianna, there's nothing you can do. There's just die or die slightly slower.
Well, you can see with the mythics that are completed on the side of 100 Thieves Academy, they have such a massive lead. 3 of them that they have in their inventories. Titanic Hydra is the only completed item for Golden Guardians Academy, which, granted, is a huge spike for Urgot, but everyone else is still working their way towards that spike.
And they don't really have a whole lot of time left, Magical. Luger is already getting pretty strong. I imagine his back is going to be fairly impactful. Poom as well, finishing the Turbo Chem Tank. It's looking like 100 Thieves Academy are rolling away with this game, and considering the comp they have, they can really do a lot with an early lead.
Rosethorn has a bit of vision with the help of the Scuttle Crab on to this Rift Herald, but with no turret mid lane, they don't really have the help that Yunbi can be able to provide. Demonte already the one on the draw, making sure that he's playing defensively for them to be able to take down that Void creature itself and give Kenvi another avenue to be able to try to punish Golden Guardians at any turret that they might be able to stand behind.
And with that, 100 Thieves Academy are just rotating themselves to the mid lane, trying to get down as much pressure as possible so that they can open themselves up for the Dragon, which is spawned. And this is going to be number 2 of the game, the Cloud. Going to be going over. Right now, it looks like 100 Thieves Academy are uncontested, and based on Rosethorn's position, I imagine it's not going to change.
Game 1, Game 2, far closer than this third game, it's seeming. In Game 3 of the FlyQuest TSM Academy games, that was a nail-biter, back and forth constantly. But this one, 100 Thieves Academy, seem like they are firmly in control. They are the kings of this rift, and they do not look like they want to relent it.
Not in the slightest. Picking up 2 dragons in the early game, 6 kills in the early game means 100 Thieves Academy are looking pretty solid to start it off, but it's all about how they play their late game team fights. And if I know 100 Thieves Academy, they can play their late game team fights.
This is looking like the Kenby and Tenacity that everyone was so hyped about when they joined up from 100 Thieves Next last year. Everyone had been praising them. These were the players that everyone was so hyped to see. And even though they did have, some good performances, there were those hiccups along the way. This is what we wanted to see out of them. This is the kind of playstyle that makes us excited to see these newer players be able to prove themselves here in the Proving Grounds.
And so far, Kenvy really showing why these picks can be so strong. I like to think that in a different meta, perhaps, he shows up like this again and again. It's just been the fact that he's been stuck to the same 2 junglers over and over and hasn't really been able to shine with his individual strength. Perhaps, and maybe perhaps, next season, it'll be more like this, where we see the pop-off performances.
But also praise over to Luger. He has absorbed so much pressure in this game that has allowed 100 Thieves Academy to get Kenby, get Tenacity into a stronger position. Even Demonte, 2-0-2 on this Zoe is looking beautiful. While how much was thrown at Luger to make sure that they were trying to get any kind of lead for Prismal, that just didn't work out. They still are trying to see maybe Tally in a 1v1. If he can pick up a skill, Fear Beyond Death, that's huge. Being able to get these solo kills for Tally might be the way back in for Golden Guardians.
But is it enough? I mean, Puma's in trouble as well, so maybe Golden Guardians Academy have found a way back into this game. Again, Tally is a win condition. It's possible. Prismal was the other one that was available, but for the moment, that's looking pretty unlikely.
At the moment, but they did get a bit of gold with that turret topside for him. Unfortunately, it will be a trade in this mid lane, so it'll be 2 turrets for the price of 1 tier 2 mid lane turret. That's a pretty big advantage lost by Golden Guardians, and that means them trying to step out into their jungle is at a far greater risk to try to go in a tow everything blind, essentially, where 100 Thieves Academy can easily, with the help of Kenby and how he can use that walk all around the map and be able to be so mobile to deny anything for Golden Guardians.
And 100 Thieves Academy just going to continue their reign and going to get this top turret as well. So although it seemed like a 2-for-1, it was in fact a 2-for-2. And Golden Guardians Academy, at the very least, do pick up a kill, do get Tally slightly farther ahead. But Magical, I worry about how 100 Thieves Academy are still just stacking up. They still got a strong Demonte. They still got strong Kenvy. And these 2 carries alone might just be enough to win a team fight that they need.
With a 5,000 gold lead too for 100 Thieves Academy, waiting for that the first mountain dragon to spawn, their 3rd dragon of the game that 100 Thieves Academy want to be able to grasp onto and put Golden Guardians in a position that they constantly have to play this reactive gameplay, constantly are having to answer what 100 Thieves Academy are doing, even though we kind of talk about a catch and release style composition, something that can absorb a lot of pressure. It's hard to be able to deal against something like Kenby when he's 4-0, has gotten an item lead already over Rosethorn.
It's more like a get caught and release sort of composition Magical, because Kenvy can just go anywhere he wants. He is the hunter that Golden Guardians Academy never wanted him to be. And Tally, really the only person who has agency at this point in the game, is getting poked down by Demonte. You saw that was about 1/3 health off a single Battle Star.
But Tally still probably has a bit of gold, probably wants to be able to get to that stride breaker to really be more impactful and having at least somewhat of a lead over Tenacity, who's gone for more of that tanky route to be able to help out the team, plus getting a Black Cleaver to make Tenacity's damage even more impactful as long as he's lasting long enough in these fights to be able to spread out that bit of armor shred.
And with the the Stride Breaker done, For Tally, he's going to be even scarier in the 1v1. The question is, do 100 Thieves Academy send anyone over? Because it may not be necessary at this point in the game. If he takes a turret, it's not the biggest deal in the world. If you can win a team fight elsewhere on the map, then Golden Gardens Academy are at a much bigger deficit. And speaking of deficits, Third Dragon's coming up in 30 seconds, Magical. I imagine 100 Thieves Academy, they want it bad.
I think that's what 100 Thieves Academy are setting up for. They don't really think that there's much that Golden Guardians Academy can do. You can see that Rosethorn Tally, they are around that Baron, but it's more out of clear, trying to see if they can... Oh, wait, are they really trying to do this? Two people at 23 minutes into the game?
I suppose that is technically possible.
Oh, they're TPing for it.
But they know.
Oh, what a play. They know. They 100% know, but do they commit? Do they stick to it? Going to be the Abyssal Voyage use. It's down to 2/3.
3,000.
It's down to 3/4. Trying to see if they can get
2,000.
it. Rosethorn so low, and the
Shockwave
pulls them back in, but it's stolen away by Tally. He makes sure they secure it, but they've lost 2 in the fight.
But at the same time, Magical, they found a play. They were able to hit the Baron. And at the very least for Golden Guardians Academy, they bought themselves some time and pressure, which is exactly what they need in order to make this scaling composition work.
As long as they're delaying the game, that is what will work out for them. You can see that I can't believe they're actually trying.
That's
two
crazy.
people. The TP as well. It was spotted out, so that's why the side of 100 Thieves Academy knew, because they're going to be tried to TP right inside the minion wave. But still, the fact that they're able to secure it is insane to me.
The fact that Golden Guardians Academy even thought to do that play and attempted it to the fullest of their ability, that to me shows a very strong team. Even if they don't win this game, even if they don't win this series, that was a move that took some real guts to pull off.
And they get it. They're able to put that Baron buff on to Yunbi, on to Prismal. Even Chime going to be able to have the buff on top. Only Tally and Rosethorn not going to be the benefactors of that play. But this is perfect. You said it best. Delaying the game, making sure that they can continue to survive and push this game further and further into the reaches of these minutes means that they're going to be able to scale up and become that much more stronger into these upcoming team fights.
But at the same time, 100 Thieves Academy have an answer. Just fight now, fight all the time, get the picks you can, secure the objectives that are basically free at this point in the game, and balloon your lead to something astronomical so the next team fight goes 100% red side.
It's 100 Thieves Academy. Even though they did not get the Baron, they did get that Dragon, like you said. They have themselves within Soul Point, and that gives them a lot of agency. Even more so than they had over the map, and are going to be able to force Golden Guardians towards their hands. You can see Kenpy, level 15. He is 3 levels over Rosethorn at this point.
But still 1 level under Tally, and I think that's going to be a huge sticking point for Golden Guardians Academy, is trying to bring Tally into the fights. He does have the teleport available, so the split push is possible, but he needs to be there at the start of a fight, because 100 Thieves Academy have the ability to insta-burst someone. We saw Kenby almost do it there, and they need to have a good reaction on the side of Golden Guardians.
Golden Guardians are playing it passively. 6,000 gold behind, 26 minutes into the game. The Baron buff not really going to be able to net them anything, but that's fine. They're able to make sure that it didn't go into the hands of 100 Thieves Academy. They stole from the Thieves themselves. They are the bandits now. And with this, it's just delaying, trying to see what else they can get. Unfortunately, not much. They're waiting for the minions to crash into them, which means every camp is pretty much taken by 100 Thieves Academy. They're going to be able to, even if it's slow, have gold lead that continues to escalate.
And the more it escalates, the scarier the team fights get for Golden Guardians Academy. 100 Thieves Academy, in the meanwhile, they're just kind of playing it passive themselves. You could argue that they are pushing waves, that they are making proactive moves in vision, but there's not any objectives to really go after. Both Dragon and Baron are spawning in about 2.5 minutes, so whatever they choose to go for, whether it's Dragon Soul or the Baron buff, is going to be advantageous to them. And I feel like they still hold all the cards. They just can't do anything for 2 minutes.
And that's the hard part. That's the hard part for our Golden Guardians here. Obviously they want to hold. They want to wait it out, right? They need to make sure that they're surviving, but in 2 minutes, they are on this timer. They'll have to make a call somewhere. They'll have to find a way to be able to, again, delay this game from 100 Thieves Academy, who will make sure that there is no way that they can delay this game any longer.
And I don't know if that's going to be an option for long, Magical. You can see Rosethorn. He has completed both the Leandries, as well as the Zonias. So is looking relatively strong, just not as strong as 3-item Kayn. And I feel like, especially having the only Zonias on the team, he's not going to be the target ever. It's going to be Prismal, it's going to be Yunbi, and they are not going to have a good time once Kenby gets on the map.
Especially with the Banshee's fail and having that Magi is in the pocket of Demonte to do even more damage with a stopwatch just in case. There is a stopwatch for Prismal.
Yep.
So the next fight can work out. They need to be able to keep Prismal alive. As long as Prismal survives, that is their win condition. That is the one they need to be able to always fall back to.
Ooh, getting some good damage onto Demonte. So at the very least, they have damage now. They've built up 2.5 items apiece about, and maybe that's enough to at least poke out 100 Thieves. They have sustain. But at the same time, if they get the burst down for Golden Guardians Academy, they can get a pick and perhaps win a team fight.
And be using the TP into the bot lane, making it so that they're probably going to have to forfeit this Baron buff if they want to be able to play around it. But they are getting a bit of chip damage onto Tenacity while Kenby. Oh no, Chime. He had to flash away, but he's dead. We knew that that was going to happen the moment it landed. And without the wild growth to be able to protect Prismal, they have to bail out of this completely. There's a shockwave onto 2 members, but Rosethorn took so much damage. He had to go golden to be able to survive the flash on top of Prismal to be able to go golden as well. Golden, they have everything for the team of Golden Guardians. They've now silenced them to make sure they're pushed back into their base. No way to be able to fight back against 100 Thieves.
And even winning that team fight 5v0, 100 Thieves Academy does not go for the immediate win. They're instead just sending Luger, Kenby, and Poom to try to get this inhibitor down. Demonte now following as well, while Tenacity grabs the Dragon Soul. It's free objectives, Magical.
Exactly. There's not really much that Golden Guardians can do. They're trying to be able to fight back. Look at the damage onto Yunbi. Even with the wild growth, he might die to the Umbral Trespass. He barely survived. They got at least Poom to save Kenby. But Tally, he's the one who has to flash away to be able to survive. 100 Thieves Academy, they finally crack open the inhibitor turret. At the same time, they get themselves the soul.
And with the soul, they have only 2 objectives left, the Nexus and the Baron. Likely to go for the Baron. 100 Thieves Academy have so many things going for them. They have the damage, they have the team fight, they have the scaling. And it feels like Golden Guardians Academy only have time left.
Only time will tell to see what is going to happen in this game, but we got to take a look at this replay, and it's really Chime getting caught out by the Sleepy Trouble bubble.
That's what precipitates the whole thing, but you see the positioning from 100 Thieves Academy. They're staying relatively close to each other. If someone gets caught out, Boom is always available. You also have Luger in case someone goes low. From there, Golden Guardians Academy, they get routed to the bot side, and the damage from 100 Thieves Academy is still too much to handle. Everyone goes golden, but what does that really buy you, Magical? Absolutely nothing.
No, and you can see them forced back into their base once more. It's a delayed fight because 100 Thieves Academy still want to be able to crack open that inhibitor turret, try to see what they can get, but now they've gotten the lead. Now they've gotten themselves a Mountain Soul, and they're forcing back in Golden Guardians to try to see if they can fight around one more objective. Even if they have vision, they gotta hope that this rocket can steal it.
They can hope, they can pray, but let's see if it takes it away.
Oh, nice. Nice from 100 Thieves Academy to immediately peel, worried that the rocket was coming through. Doesn't connect onto the champions, means it doesn't get its bonus damage.
Or any damage whatsoever when you think about it. So that's just going to be a rocket down and a Baron going over to 100 Thieves Academy. They're pushing on the mid lane. You have to feel like this is going to be the end closing part of the game, Magical. 100 Thieves Academy in the driver's seat.
You need a miracle if you're Golden Guardians. You need anything, really, to be able to try to see if this fight's going to go your way. You're 9,000 gold behind, 31.5 minutes into the game. Baron buff on top of Golden Guardians at 100 Thieves. You're now, as Golden Guardians, not going to be in a position to be able to dictate anything.
No dictation, but a counter engage is possible with this comp. Looks like a tower has already gone down and the fight begins.
Look at Kenby. Kenby is looking for that flank, looking for the damage. They've at least gotten to sleep onto one, but they don't want to follow it up just yet. Body block coming in from the minions to be able to save the life of Rosethorn, but does it really matter when you're losing your base, when everything is being taken down? You see that they don't really have hope to be able to defend this top lane turret either, but they're trying. Shockwave. Only on Kenby, but they've lost Yunbi. So much damage out of Demonte. 100 Thieves Academy, every single lane, they're pushing into Golden Guardians Academy. They've sniped down Rosethorn too from from Damonte, making sure nobody stands in their way. They've got everything they need to. Tally's trying valiantly to be able to fight back, but they have so much
tenacity.
Even inside of their fountain, Golden Guardians are pushed back, eaten alive by the Bear 2. And you can see Tenacity's way too damn tanky to be taken down with everything, with the minions behind them, even with the polymorph. It does nothing to dissuade Kenvi and Tenacity from keeping Chime and Tenacity pushed in. This is the game. This is the series. 100 Thieves Academy, the 3rd seed, will continue forward, and they will knock down Golden Guardians Academy, denying them their losers bracket triumphant recovery.
100 Thieves Academy, they play a questionable game 1, but games 2 and 3, you see the domination. You see what makes this team such a top contender and why they came into this tournament as 3rd seed. Congratulations to them, but still a great game and a great series overall played out by Golden Guardians Academy.
They tried. They really did have great games 1. Even game 2, when they were kind of behind, it seemed like they might have had a little bit better of a team fight that they could have tried to go for, but it just didn't work out. This 3rd game, Kenvi was so far ahead. That Kane pretty much was the game. Even Damonte, too. You can see these Sleepy Trouble bubbles, how he was able to get so much damage from such long range to follow up Kenvi.
It was all based on a dive that Golden Guardians tried to do, and their team composition just didn't allow for that. They were the reactive team. Yes, Rosethorn on Lilia has options in order to get in on a fight, but overall, the team fight out of Golden Guardians Academy was meant to be reactive. Wait for someone to go in, like Kenvi, and then try to counter-engage, try to get CC down on him and burst him down between Tally and Prismal. Unfortunately, Kenvi just got too far ahead, and that became an impossible option.
Well, and the thing is, for Golden Guardians Academy, like, some moments like that Baron that they were able to take away and essentially steal for themselves was a great play, but earlier on, I kind of want to go all the way back to the early stages. Rosethorn spent so much time trying to see if they can kill Luger, to try to kill Poom, that meant that it let Kenvi have free reign of the map throughout the entirety of it.
Yeah, just kind of a misread coming in from Golden Guardians Academy. They thought the bot lane was weak, and in the sense, yeah, you're not going to do a lot of damage with Senna Kench, but also Senna Kench doesn't die. There's just no way really in on them unless you find an amazing play early on, which, to their credit, Prismal and Chime almost found it. They were so close. They just didn't quite have enough damage in order to kill Luger at level 1.
And here that for our Verizon player interview, we have Kenvi on the line to... First off, Kenvi, congratulations on that 2-1 victory. Another 2-1 for the squad. You guys keep winning these game 3s. Are you just the best clutch team?
I think these games, like, that's why we go to game 3, because I keep throwing, and I just want to make, like, the series, like, more spicy, you know? I throw,
I
then we
respect
got more chill. Yeah.
I definitely respect the decision. But it's really been an exciting series watching you, Kenvi, because in game 1, it looked like there was kind of a faltering and not really a whole lot of room to engage. But games 2 and 3, you really came to life, and I felt like there was a difference. What would you say really pushed you over the edge and made you such a force in games 2 and 3?
I just have not to troll, and we can win the game easily if I don't troll.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect. I respect it. I gotta say, I like seeing you on something that can carry, such as that Kane. I would imagine that this is not your favorite meta right now, with the Hecarim and Udyrs constantly being played. Seeing you on something like Kane, are we gonna be able to hope that you're gonna have a spicier pick like this more often?
If they remove Hecarim and Udyr, I think I can play more carries, I guess.
Hey.
Yeah.
It could happen one day, you never quite know. But honestly, I feel like in the meta that we have right now, Kenvi, you've been able to show up so much in the regular season, and even in this postseason, even in the proving grounds. I feel like you've gotten a lot closer to the rest of your team. Would you say that cohesion has been better since the postseason, or has it really been just kind of a natural process?
Like, is our team improving?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we've been improving a lot this past 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure. Like, we've been doing better.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys looked really strong, especially like I said, that third game. It was a great performance out of you. You had Luger and you had Poom on that Sen and Tom Kench to absorb so much pressure, and you had free time around the map. But I also gotta say, I really do like how you and DeMonte seem to have this really good synergy. So how has having DeMonte on this roster been affecting how you guys play?
Having him is this roster is really good because he can he knows about like the game, and he's really good player. That's why
He definitely is. He showed up a lot.
Yeah,
definitely good stuff to see out of both you and DeMonte, but something I want to see out of you, Kenvi, and I want to see this dominant performance. Can I just ask for your next series against Evil Genius's Prodigies that's coming out? Could you please pull out the Rammus just for me?
It's not been buffed yet.
I'm not sure. Maybe if there's a chance.
Don't listen to him. Don't listen to him. It's okay. You can tell him no.
1% chance.
1%.
Hey, you know what? 1%'s better than no percent. I'll take that myself. But you know what, Kenvi? Congratulations on that 2-1 victory. Good luck going up against Evil Genius's Prodigies up this Sunday. We'll be cheering you on from the sidelines. It was great having you in.
Okay, thank you very much.
And with that, 100 Thieves Academy continue their reign here in the Proving Grounds. They continue on forward to face off against Evil Genius's Prodigies. Like I said, though, this is the end of the best of threes. They're going to move on to best of fives, and I'm really curious to see how that might impact these teams.
Well, I think step one is going to be pick or ban Hecker. I think that more than anything else is going to be something moving forward.
Yeah, but with this, let's look at the bracket and see how things have changed. We already talked about a little bit in that losers bracket how we've now gotten the two teams to move forward. TSM Academy, 100 Thieves Academy, going up against the two EG teams, Academy for Academy, and then Prodigies for 100 Thieves. Really interesting to see how these games are going to play out, especially tomorrow when we have Evil Geniuses Academy versus TSM Academy.
I think both of these games in the semifinals for the lower bracket are going to be very exciting. I feel like both matchups are pretty even, and I feel like both teams have a lot to show. The Evil Geniuses organization are either going to have a really good day, really bad day, or kind of an okay day.
It'll be interesting to see. I mean,
those are the options.
You never know. Yes, I guess those are the options when you say it that way, but I was hoping for, analysis.
Well, that's a shame that you brought me onto the cast then, isn't it?
No, it's not. I enjoy having you here, Sam. It's always great being able to cast with you. It was great being here for this, final day of the best of threes for the Proving Grounds to finish it off. And what a way to end the best of threes, right? All the games go in the full 3 games. We get 6 games. Your and mine, our voices, oh my God, and our brains are completely fried at this point. It was a lot of fun.
It was. Our boomer brains were barely able to keep up, but the excitement was there, and hopefully everyone that was watching enjoyed the show. 6 full games, folks. How can you ask for more?
Exactly. And we thank everyone for joining us here today. We hope you come back in tomorrow to be able to see the first of the best of 5s, TSM Academy, Evil Geniuses Academy. It's going to be super hype. Make sure you join back in tomorrow. But that's going to do it for us tonight. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you tomorrow.